The reality we live in can be a very strange place. Most of the time, fact being stranger than fiction. How will we ever start to understand this reality we live in unless we question everything? Join me and a guest as we unravel the mysteries of this reality, one topic at a time. This is Inquiries of Our Reality with Shayn Jones.
What is up, Inquirers, and welcome to the expanse of deep open-minded conversation. I'm the one they call Shayn, and today for you guys, I have something a little bit different. I don't typically do swap casts, but considering it's the holiday season, you got to do some sharing back and forth, of course, and again, reconnect with some old friends. So today for you guys, I did a holiday special with the awesome dudes over there at Cult of Conspiracy, swap cast on both feeds, and we're definitely planning on doing some more work like this in the future. So if it's something you guys enjoyed, definitely shoot me a message, let me know, and we can collaborate and do a lot more of some of the stuff that you guys might want us to dive into, because we definitely have a really awesome back and forth. But again, this won't fall into the normal episode feed, but I've spent the last 3 years now doing the show, and I haven't done a good, solid Christmas episode. So this one, I'm taking the opportunity. Let's do a Christmas episode, dive into some weird folklore, and of course, have some interesting conversation along the way. But just a couple quick things before we get into the show, of course. I am still trying to put together an investigation team for Michigan/Metro Detroit area. You don't necessarily have to be in that area, but if you're willing to make the trip at least once a month, be able to do some investigations, you're definitely somebody that I would be looking for the team. And for this team, I don't just want to dive into cryptids. I don't just want to dive into the paranormal. I don't just even want to dive into UFOs. I want to dive into all weird phenomenon as a whole, because all of it is obviously connected the more you start diving into this. So I'm definitely looking for diversity as far as this team goes. So if it sounds like something you might be interested in, there is a Google form available down in the show description that you guys can fill out. And of course, in a couple weeks, once I get a couple more of those banked up, I will start getting back to some of you guys and figuring all that stuff out. And the other thing I'd like to bring up is that I am still trying to expand topics to introduce into the show. So if you're somebody that has something that hasn't been talked about in the show that you'd love to be able to present to the show, don't forget to get a hold of me. I don't care if it's conspiratorial, I don't care if it's spiritual, I don't care if it's cryptids, aliens, whatever. If you have some type of open-minded fringe topic and it, again, has never been talked about on the show, shoot me a message, because I would absolutely love to be able to have you on. That said, just a quick message. This podcast has a strong focus on community engagement, so I encourage all listeners to share their own experiences and research on the show. That said, if anyone would like to be a guest on the show, or if you have an encounter or experience that you'd like to share on the show or possibly have me investigate, you guys can email me at inquiriesourrealitypodcast@outlook.com, or you guys can get a hold of me through the hotline. You guys can text, call, or leave a voicemail over there, and that number is 313-364-1551. And every single thing that I mention is all available in the link tree, which is available down in the show description. And with that, let's get into the show. What is up, guys, and welcome to another fascinating episode of Inquiries of Our Reality. I'm the one that they call Shayn, and today with you guys, I'm mixing it up a little bit. Don't typically do the swap cast, but considering that it is Christmas, and we all need to kind of put a little bit of content out there for Christmas, today with me, I have two guys that I've sadly gone way too long without doing a show with. Over here, I got the boys from Cult of Conspiracy. Feel free to introduce your guys' selves.
So we are the Cult of Conspiracy podcast, and you can come check us out on any podcast platform. If you like the video content, we're on Patreon and Rockfin. And if you want to come follow us on Instagram, we have Instagram and Twitter. Those are the best places to be able to find us. So yeah, we've been doing it here for like 4.5 years now, and we have covered a lot of conspiracies, but believe it or not, 4.5 years is not nearly enough time or episodes to really dive into all the conspiracies that have ever happened, especially since they are new ones happening on a regular basis. And that's what we cover those too.
Yeah, we kind of bounce back and forth between speaking about maybe a CIA operation that took place in the 60s. Then we might bounce in the next episode to some sort of a religious conversation about esoteric traditions done by a certain mystery school. We very well may jump straight on into talking about drones that are flying over New Jersey. And then we might also just caveat into talking about the Orbs and the Bledsoe family, all within the same episode. We're kind of like ADD children, just this is what I might even call weaponized autism, going to be honest with you. And it's become one of the best experiences / hobbies / careers that we've ever gotten into, to be honest with you.
You quickly learn once you start up a podcast, man. It quickly becomes a lifestyle. And once you start doing it, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah.
It's a very addictive drug. There's no doubt about it, because especially being in the conspiracy realm, you see everywhere. Like anytime there's any kind of breaking news or any movie that you're sitting there and watching, even cartoons that you're sitting there and watching with your kids, you're like, wait a second, I know that symbolism. You're not fooling me, damn it. And that's what we try and cover all of it, dude.
Hey, and once you start seeing it, man, you can't unsee it.
Absolutely.
No. Yeah, it's you don't go back from red pill. Like, it's that red pill, there's always underlying notions of something. No matter what you're watching, what you're listening to, you're always going to have, even on days that you're trying to blue pill. Like, maybe you just want to sit there and watch football, with your family. You got Christmas coming up, whatever. You just want to have a good time. But for some reason, something has always got to happen that's got to spark that conspiratorial mind and that red pilled mentality. And you just got to call it out. And it's a beautiful thing to not be fooled all the time. I think it's good to know these kinds of things, It
has been way too goddamn long, man. We did fucking episodes like 2 years ago now, and I don't know how we haven't got it back around until now. Like, that's kind of crazy, man.
Yeah.
Things and stuff get in the way, and it's just like, I feel like time is speeding up. I don't know about you, but like 2 years ago seems like I could recall it like it was yesterday or even a week ago, it feels like. But I just feel like, I don't know what it is. Maybe the Matrix, whoever is controlling the cinema screen for the Matrix or whatever, is like, you know what, let's ramp this up a little bit.
I don't know, man. It seems the more children I have, the more time speeds up. I'm fucking over it. I'll tell you that.
That's what I was about to say, man. I think it's the matter of having kids and running a podcast. It's like, it starts wearing on you quick, man. Like, I enjoy every minute of it, don't get me wrong, but it's like when you get into that process of doing the same repetitive stuff, man, it just, time starts blending. Somebody will ask you, like, what'd you do last week? And I'm like, I don't fucking remember what I did yesterday versus 2 months ago. Like,
oh, let's make plans. Hey, what's next week look like for you? It's like, okay. Yeah, my week, I got it looked like Swiss cheese. There's random sections of open spaces all over, but that's about it. That's all I got, man. It's full-time kids, 7 days a week. We got games or practices or this or that or school function or this party. And somehow every other fucking week, these kids either have an early dismissal or a day off school. I don't know when that shit became cool. But I don't remember that when I was in school. This is horse shit. And they just expect parents to just drop it and have it for the kids. It's like, it's a lot, y'all. There's a lot of scheduling and timing. But with that, Shayn, I am very happy that we were able to figure it out, get together, and make this swapcast happen here today, bro.
Dude, we had 3 dropouts in the process, too, of attempting to set up these shows. And I mean, everything happens for a reason, man. We're here, we're doing a Christmas episode. So, I mean, I need a Christmas episode. You guys needed one. 2 birds, 1 stone, man.
Yes, dude. And I swear, we always say we're going to do a Christmas episode. And then for some reason, time just gets away from us and we're releasing I don't know, Bigfoot episodes on Christmas. And we're like, damn it, we forgot about doing a Christmas episode for Christmas time. But this year we decided to get a little bit ahead of it. And I feel like a lot of people have heard most of the Christmas conspiracies, and it's a pagan holiday or it's the Druids or whatever, but it's still cool as almost like a traditional reminder once a year, just to what is the reason for the season. And I think we're gonna probably lay a lot of that out today.
No doubt.
I I mean, how much of this stuff has been manipulated too, kind of getting into conspiracy stuff. I mean, you dig into like the present day Christmas atmosphere and it's not just one thing. It's like everybody's right when they started throwing these ideas in because it's not from any single standpoint. There's like a million different backgrounds and folklores that go into like present day what we know as Christmas at this point. Like it's
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of it probably started as winter solstice celebrations. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring today. There's a couple of like awesome articles that I had found as far as, just the history of the winter solstice and, certain celebrations that you would see, during that time. But anyway, this year, and now the time is going to vary depending on like wherever you live, on the planet or on this flat earth or within the matrix, however you look at it. But the winter solstice is Saturday, December 21st this year. It ranges. It can go from the 21st, the 22nd, sometimes the 23rd, but this year it happens to be on the December 21st. And for those who don't know what a solstice is or the winter solstice, it's basically the shortest day of the year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is the day when the sun is in the air for the least amount of time. Correct.
The longest night of the year. And so this was something that was celebrated. Now you might ask yourself, why would anybody be celebrating the longest night of the year, And I feel like whenever you start to really look into this, you'll start to see just how these winter solstice traditions have shaped a lot of other Christmas time holidays, traditions and stuff like that. So it is pretty interesting. I found this website, and it gets into winter solstice traditions from around the world. And this is just kind of a general overview, literally all around the world, where, because not everybody celebrates Christmas. Although I didn't know, there's actually a shitload of people that do. It's like,
well, they call it different things, right? But everybody's got their wintertime festivity, family gathering, feast day. Everybody's got something for it, regardless of culture or time zone, honestly.
And some type of entity for it too, because it seems like every single tradition has some entity that is attached to Christmas, winter solstice as a whole too.
Yeah, absolutely.
it is pretty wild. And Odin gets brought up in here too. It's sick. But anyhow, it says winter solstice conjures up images of bare trees and bleak weather, roaring log fires and flickering candles. It marks both the shortest day and the longest night of the year. In the northern hemisphere, the solstice falls in December. In 2024, it'll be on December 21st. In the southern hemisphere, where the seasons are reversed, it occurs in June. So the solstice signifies a turning point. The days will gradually grow longer, promising the eventual return of warmth and light. For ancient cultures who track time by the stars, the solstice was a crucial marker. Before artificial light and heating, winter was a time of hardship. Even today, many people find comfort in celebrating the winter solstice, including sad researcher Hester Parr, who says, staging the sense of a winter that changes over the months has become really important to me. The winter solstice is meaningful because I know on that day, the light is rising again. It helps me forget about the relentless winter. And it's a special moment which you can mark by building a fire in your garden or lighting a candle. It's comforting and it makes me think about winter in a new way. So that's a cool way of looking at it. I feel like a lot of people are starting to get back to really starting to connect with nature and wanting to get outside a little bit more and not necessarily turning back to the pagan ways, which, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to get like full on that way, but connecting with nature in that way, I think that's a cool thing, you know, to get us the hell out of the house. You know, why does everything got to be in front of a TV all the time? Like, I can't stand like Christmas traditions where everybody's just sitting in front of the TV. Let's go do something. You know, and so I think connecting back with nature in this kind of way, looking up at the stars on the night of the winter solstice, that just sounds like an awesome tradition to start.
No doubt.
Just need that snow for it, man. Because it's like, I don't know about you guys, where you guys are living at, but Michigan, at least, we used to get like bombarded with snow every year. And it seems like it's gotten to the point where the last few years we get a dusting if we're lucky. And it's like, man, I've always been a huge fan of winter. I love the fucking cold, but without the snow, it just gets rid of that like beautiful ambiance and everything's just like wet and cold instead of being like optimistic and like fluffy and white and bright. You know, it's harder with less snow, like whatever's going on. And I mean, that's a whole other like weather conspiracy, but
Well, the only thing I know about that is from my time living in Washington, D.C., where I learned that I am a Southern boy who does not belong in the snow. I'm white, but not that white. You know what I mean? So I'm from Louisiana. And I'm going to be honest with you. A couple years ago, we had like 2 inches of snow stick to the ground. We kind of thought the end times were upon us. It was pretty much full-on apocalypse. From going from my house to the Walmart 2 miles away, I saw 20 cars in ditches. Like, people here don't even know how to drive in the cold or the rain, let alone the fucking ice. It's bad.
There ain't no salt trucks in the South. I'll tell you
None.
that.
if it makes you feel any better, though, in Michigan, whenever it snows, people completely forget how to drive, and the same damn thing will happen where it's like we'll have like barely even an inch of snow, and there'll be like a million accidents on the way, and it's like you guys are used to this every year, but you think people get used to it, but they still don't. Like, it's still just as bad here, man. But I mean, coming from like a northerner, man, I was born and raised up here, so it's like, talk about an extreme, man. You got you over there that, you know, you don't want any snow whatsoever, and then you got me.
Bro,
I'm the type of white dude that's wearing shorts in the winter.
Oh, fuck. Me too, though. But I mean, not really. I wear jeans 24/7. But that's not the point. It was 70 degrees yesterday here. Like, that's my Christmas. Hell yeah.
Well, you know, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was used to all that snow and waking up and looking outside on Christmas morning and there just being a foot or two or sometimes 3 feet of snow. That was the good old times, dude. You'd wake up and, like, you know what we would do, like, as little kids, me and my brother and sister, we would always like just put 2 pair of socks on and then just go like run in the snow. It felt like you were running on a cloud, especially if it was like freshly laid like that. You ever do that, Shane, back in the day or even now?
I mean, I would definitely do it now if I had the opportunity to, but as a kid, I used to just do that thing where you just run outside and just face plant into the snow, and then you take off back inside and warm back up.
Yeah.
Quick ice bath wakes you up.
DC. It was a checkbox. You know what I mean? In Louisiana, we never get that experience of like the full face plant or making a snow angel. That's something that no Louisiana child has experienced. You know what I mean? So yes, I experienced it, but I gotta say, I do want to check out what West Coast snow is like. East Coast snow is all wet and sticky, and I've heard it's nasty and whatever. I've heard Utah snow is a whole different vibe. I would like to see what it's about, but it still sounds cold as fuck to me, so I don't know. But, like, we'll see.
Talk about a whole other level, that Canadian snow, man. Like, I can't even imagine what it's like up there. I mean...
Got to be thick. But, yeah, I would imagine that western snow is probably, like... It's not sloshy, you know what I mean? Like,
I've heard it's powdery.
Bullshit, yeah. Dude,
it's that light, fluffy shit that's like 2 feet tall, but you can just kind of squish it.
Yeah, it'll compact into like 1 little inch.
I've never experienced that. So, like, I would like to see what it's about. But, and that's the thing, too. I want to do snowboarding. I've heard that, like, West Coast is, like, the spot for it. But, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But to your point that you made, Shane, different people, different regions, different biomes. Some have the exact same type of traditions and culture. Some have very different, but everybody's got something that they do at this time of year.
Yes, well, and they have since the beginning of humanity. And we're going to go all the way. I don't know if the cavemen were doing it. I don't even know if cavemen were even a thing. What do you think? Like, I know that sounds like a crazy question. We were kind of brought up to believe that, like, cavemen... I don't know. I'm starting to question if cavemen were ever really a thing. Like, was that the beginning of humanity?
Yeah. Like, I think that's what Adam and Eve look like, essentially, like long form. But, like, think of evolution in the sense of, like, you know, some humans developed being shorter and stockier and hairier, and some developed taller, thinner, hairless bodies, you know? And, like, that was just per where they lived. I could see earliest form of man looking like some sort of caveman looking shit. And then from that, when they spread, this group started to develop like this way. This group started to develop like this way, but they're all still human. That makes sense to me, at least.
Unless we came from another planet. Just throwing that out there. You always got to add, like, we don't know. We don't know how we got here. Like, is there a seed that, like, grows humans or something like that? No.
Praise be unto Yakub.
Hold on tight, everyone. Inquiries of Our Reality will be right back after this brief commercial break. But if you don't mind taking a second to follow Inquiries of Our Reality on Instagram and Facebook, and Open Minds Media on YouTube and TikTok, I'd greatly appreciate it. And feel free to spark up a conversation. I love getting to know you guys. And now back to the show. Two different weird ways of looking at it, man. It seems like anytime you deal with any of these extraterrestrials, they all still have that humanoid shape. So that's where you start questioning. Like, we start wondering whether or not that humanoid shape came from apes. But if you consider like greys and everything else to have these shapes, unless you're one of the people that consider them to possibly be from Earth, maybe it's not a matter of anything coming from apes specifically, but just that is the ideal form in order to interact with your physical environment. So everything that gets to an advanced point is bound to end up like that. But there's still the process of something having the less evolved brain and just running off that reptilian primal brain, and then eventually getting into intellect and actually trying to attempt to understand its own consciousness. And that's where it starts to kind of spread into what we know as modern day human. Whether or not these things actually came from apes, I definitely think that there was a primitive version of humans no matter what, but the humanoid shape, that's where I question if it actually comes from an ape, just because that if that theory is true, then any of these other planets that supposedly have these beings would have also had apes on them, but I don't necessarily see that as the case. I just think that humanoid shape is the ideal physical shape to be able to interact with your physical environment.
Thumbs are cool. Like, it's cool having thumbs. I think we're like one of the only creatures that has those, but outside of monkeys and shit, but no, I don't know. I like to question all of that, whether we came from another planet, from another civilization or something like that. And also I like to tie in like the whole Nephilim conversation with that. Like, who knows? Like, is there a 1% chance that we are the Nephilim?
No.
What if the actual real version of being like whatever the true purest form of a human or whatever that entity was, and then something came and incarnated with that, and out comes the human, aka the Nephilim? I don't know. I like to get weird over here.
Okay, I'll say there's a greater than 0% chance, right? Like, and even in the biblical sense, since you're using the term Nephilim, right? As you brought up, like aliens, and I know a lot of people think that's one and the same, a lot of people don't, but like, since you use the term, fine. The flood was supposed to kill them all, yet somehow Goliath was a person. So like, we know for sure that at least some of the bloodline was preserved. So is it possible that some of us walking around the earth today do have some Nephilim DNA in us? I suppose there is a greater than 0% chance of that. I personally don't think that like any of us having this conversation has that, but I could be so wrong. I don't know.
Right, but I guess my talking point on it is like, I don't know. You don't really see too many Nephilim walking around anymore. So either the humans got rid of or the Nephilim got rid of. And if the Nephilim were all big and bad and they survived the fucking flood, right? Like, I don't know. It just makes you think. I don't know. These are, I'm going to be real with you. These are thoughts that I have whenever I'm baked out of my mind right before I go to sleep. So like, whatever, do with that as you will.
There's still the DNA tampering aspect of it too. So there could be more of these things walking around, and they could purposely try to make themselves blend in and alter their genetics to be smaller. But even kind of bringing it into like a wider concept, talk about predictive programming. Like, how many shows talk about these like seeding cultures? Like, you have the engineers, like an alien and everything. Like, is it all just intended to drop the information so it's right in front of people's faces, but they don't realize it? And these beings that we call the Anunnaki, that we call angels, that everybody wants to kind of split up and debate and kind of fight about, are all actually the same thing, just under different names, and they actually went to different places and seeded different things. And of course, there was conflict within those things, and there was also some form of like creation / DNA altering. And again, you're kind of hearing things from like one perspective, but you kind of have to look through the middle to kind of put it all together. But I definitely kind of stand behind the fact that I definitely think that there was some type of being or race that was altering / creating DNA in order to put us here. Whether you want to, kind of put that under the category of God, or you want to put it under the Anunnaki or something, like, I almost kind of at a certain point think that we might be talking about the same characters from different perspectives.
I think so. And I think that exactly what I'm about to read right now is going to tie in perfectly to that, because we all have, what we think the truth is regarding Christmas and the celebration around this time every year, and about how far it stems back, and then stories as to why they celebrated those traditions. and we'll start to see like who pulled from who, if you will, or maybe it was just kind of all an amalgamation of stories coming together to include everybody. Nothing wrong with that either. But anyway, it says archaeological evidence suggests that humans have been celebrating the solstice since the Neolithic period, from 10,000 to 3,000 BC. The Dissect Circle, a circular henge structure built in Germany in around 4900 BC, is one of the oldest known solar observatories, with 2 gates in its outer circle that align with the sunset and sunrise of winter solstice. So think about that. This thing was built in 4900 BC, dude. And they were back then monitoring when the winter solstice would be coming. And then of course you would have, star stories and I feel like it's all very so related, but the reason why you would have like those galactic stories or the stories of the constellations and shit like that is to just remember, like to help you remember when certain dates were around, like when this star is in this position, then that's when you do this kind of shit. And it's cool to see that like they've been doing that since 4900 BC, or at least that's whenever the structure was built.
No doubt.
Tracking the stars, man. I mean, this links into all the ancient culture stuff on whether or not they were like tracking the sky just so that they had some type of calendar, or if they're specifically trying to track like when specific disaster events were going to happen. I mean, regardless, I think a lot of these old structures were used for multiple things, and they definitely could have used them to know that if this certain star lines up in this certain hole, we know we got something to look out for, or that this event's coming soon. Like, I think these things were multi-purpose.
Oh, they had to have been. Yeah. There was definitely more. It seems like more than one purpose. But next you have the Yule, which isn't that a beautiful, like a cute, is that a reindeer? Yeah, it is a reindeer.
I do believe it is. Although I was going to ask if that was AI or not, but
it has to. It has to. Look at the pink lips. Reindeer's got pink lips.
It's got a fluffy little nose.
Kind of yes, kind of no. They can have a pink nose, which is where Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that whole thing about how like the other deer mocked him and shit. Actually, with reindeer, if they have a sickness with them, their nose can kind of not glow red, but be bright red, and other reindeer will like fucking move away from them because they're sick. They think that might have been the inspiration behind the backstory of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, it says Yule, one of the oldest midwinter festivals, originated from the Viking celebration of, is it Jol? Jol?
I believe that J would be a soft J like Jarl or like Bjorn with the J. So I think if the Nordics are putting a J out there, it's a Y. I could be wrong, like Jaeger.
I'm pretty sure it's a Y too. That's what I was going to say. Because I know at least with like Dutch and a lot of the languages kind of coming up that way, usually the J's are pronounced as Y's.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Viking celebration of Yule then.
Yule,
and then it got Englishized and Anglicanized to what we would now call Yule, Y-U-L-E. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it says which featured sacrifices to Norse gods and feast with meat from ritual hunts.
That's the way to go. That's a good Christmas celebration. I like it.
We celebrate with a hunt, and then we sacrifice and eat of the thing we hunted. Look, this sounds redneck as fuck to me. I don't know.
I mean, I like it. Yeah, it says over time, Yule evolved into, is that Gwili?
Where you see this?
Right here, highlighted. Gwili, it looks like. Giuli.
You know what? Let's go with Gwili.
That sounds.
No,
I'm gonna back that one up too. That's my best guess.
That might be a soft G. That might be Jolie or something. I don't fucking know.
That might sound a little French.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I do. What is a soft G? I know a soft J is like from jogging to jogging, right, or yogging. But what the fuck is the soft G like?
I would assume almost like a soft J. It would end up sounding roughly the same because I feel like
George,
especially with the
George
I after, it's going to make the J
Gs,
sound.
Yeah. No doubt. Okay. Fuck, I don't know.
Think about it. Like you can spell Jeff with a J or a G.
I was just thinking like George or like Joff, Geoff. That's a J noise. So like, yeah, that would be the soft G. Sorry for the English lesson, good listeners.
English is so confusing that it's like we bring in so many different aspects from other languages that when we have a word from another language, you don't know what direction to go with it. Like,
yeah, certain etymologies are really strange. But shout out to Toys R Us. Remember Jeffrey He was the what is that? Fucking
The giraffe.
Yeah,
dude,
Jeffrey the
OG.
giraffe.
Yeah, dude.
Giraffe.
Toys R Us is coming back. You saw that?
Yeah, I think like smaller though. Like they're only opening up a couple of stores or some shit, right?
They're inside of Macy's or something like that right now. Like whatever, I think it's Macy's. They have like a little toy section inside of that, and they're supposed to have their online store back. But yeah, from what I heard, they're supposed to actually bring back a couple of like the physical just Toys R Us stores. But they trick you, man. They say that they were back like 2 years ago, and then you're like, awesome, I'm gonna go and check this place out with my kids. Then you go into Macy's and it's like 5 racks and the Toys R Us sign above it.
I still think Spirit of Halloween might be the best business model I've ever seen in my entire life. So your boy works in like, I don't know, fucking 20,000 locations in a matter of 1 month and makes like $2.2 billion, right? And it's all in-house, their brand shit. If you look at the costumes, all of it's Spirit of Halloween brand. It's this whole thing that half of their staffers find leased buildings for them to fucking just throw a Spirit of Halloween in when the time comes. And now they are doing Spirit of Christmas. Y'all saw this shit.
Yes, dude.
And they're only doing 2 stores. It's a trial run. God, I hope it takes off because everything they're selling in there, it is in fact decking the halls, but it's very much a horror Christmas, if you will. And I'm fucking here for that.
If I don't walk in the front door and there's not a giant animatronic Krampus screaming at me, then I will be very disappointed.
I believe there is, sir. So I think you're on the right track. Which I'm glad you brought up Krampus. I didn't want to bring him up, but I'm going to bring up somebody that was kind of akin to him later. But yeah, let's do this.
All right. So anyway, over time, Yule evolved into Gwili, a 12-day celebration observed by Germanic tribes like the Norse and Anglo-Saxons. Yule traditions included burning a large log to last the festival, decorating homes with evergreens, and using mistletoe, a fertility symbol, in ceremonies.
Okay, solid.
The Deer Mother, a shamanic figure said to carry the sun between her antlers into the new year, was also honored. By the 10th century, King Haakon the Good merged Yule with Christian Christmas, and remnants of this secretionism. Is that the word? Secretism. Syncretism. There we go.
There it is.
It's a tough one. Remnants of this syncretism remain today in customs like kissing under the mistletoe, the chocolate Yule log, and Santa's reindeer. So then it starts to really go all over the place and all these different countries and whatnot and how they're celebrating the winter solstice. You have Inti Raymi, which is in Peru and Ecuador. The Inti Raymi festival, established by the Inca Pachacutec.
Close enough.
The Putek part at least sounds right.
Bro, at least they got vowels in that word. Better than that or whatever the fuck it has.
But anyway, that was in the 1430s AD. It was a grand 15-day celebration of the winter solstice. And this event honored the sun god, the Inca's primary deity, and their connection to the Sapa Inca, the empire's leader. Ritual ceremonies and dances, cocoa leaf offering, Jacob, and chicha drinking were all dedicated to the sun's life-giving power. Suppressed by Spanish colonization and banned in 1572 by Viceroy Francisco de Toledo, Inti Raymi was revived in 1944 by Quechua writer Faustino Espinosa to restore pride in Incan deity, or identity, rather. So, pretty cool.
I love it. They gave each other cocaine as a gift. That, for the record, for all the cult members just listening and not watching this, that wasn't the cacao like the cocoa bean that makes chocolate. That was coca, as in the coca leaf from the coca tree that you use to make that cocaine, which is literally what built America. I still believe the world runs off of it, to be honest with you.
Talk about a totally different idea to the coca log. It's not the chocolate log, it's the coca log.
Dude, if you were to have a log of that, that's what it was. It was Tony Montana, clearly.
Everybody just go up to the log with the knife, take your little bump, and everybody go all about the festival.
Tell me,
no double bumping.
Get the party started, though, bro. Tell me that wouldn't be the best way to start a Christmas shindig. Everybody just gets them a little tootski on the way in, bro. What?
Dude, everybody's gonna be helping out in the kitchen, baby.
I was gonna say, get everybody out of their shells real quick. You want to have a really blinded Christmas party? That's the way to do it.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
man, the house gonna be so clean at the end of it too. It's gonna be solid.
That's that pure stuff. That ain't no baking soda.
Every present perfectly wrapped.
Which,
Oh,
for the
yeah.
record, I want to try coca tea. Like, I really do. True to form, like you may take the leaves, and yes, you're making basically cocaine tea, but it is the way it was intended to be ingested, not cut and cooked down with acetone and all this shit. No. But like a true tea made of it, or like a balm made from the leaves that are used for like topical anesthetics. I think that was kind of the intended purpose of the plant, to be honest with you.
I mean, even the
Original
thing.
energy drink.
Yeah, I'll say even the thing where they would like rip off part of the leaf and like basically just smash it between their back teeth. I mean, I'm sure that has
cat, dude.
yeah, totally different feeling than like what cocaine is that we know today, man.
Yeah, cat's more of like a dirty heroin vibe, if I'm not mistaken. It's like it got the effects of an opiate, even though it doesn't. It's not a derivative of the plant, but it like hits the same. It's like a cousin of kratom, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I know the Somali pirates love that. They love that shit in Africa. Good God, they love cat.
Dude, the actual kratom that people are like doing in these other countries versus like what we have in the US, it's got to be a totally different thing because the kratom we have in the US, man, like that stuff, it just feels dirty, like unpure. Like imagine if you could just get like a straight leaf of something, like how different the whole entire experience would be. Even like tobacco, man. Like the tobacco we have in the US versus like the shit they have down in South America where it's like no added stuff to it, no chemicals, just straight leaf. Like imagine if you could just get your hands on straight leaves of things, just like how much better this shit would be.
So I grew my own tobacco in my backyard once upon a time, just one plant. It got enough to harvest one basket or whatever, and I didn't even do anything with it other than use it for pipe tobacco. It was okay. But I will say that's why I prefer cigars, because it is pure leaf tobacco. There's no additives, and there's real artistry put behind it. There's real science behind what kind of flavor profile they went with this type of leaf, with this type of plant grown. My favorite is Cuban seed, Nicaraguan grown Maduro. That's my favorite type of tobacco. So there's like whole sciences that went behind it. But to your point, 100% it's a different experience. I believe that's the way it was intended to be enjoyed.
Even the peace pipe, man, like it was intended because it would just make you chill out. You'd sit on your butt, you'd relax. Like you didn't get that crappy feeling like when you have your first cigarette in the morning and you feel super lightheaded and stuff. It was like, you know, you'd still relax you, calm you down, but like a totally different feeling. Like I know a lot of people have been like, oh, they were smoking weed in their pipes, but like weed wasn't prevalent in the US. Tobacco was everywhere, man. They were smoking just straight leaf tobacco with a totally different effect.
Right?
Yeah, dude, that tobacco industry been around for a hot minute, you know. And by the way, I used to be like a cigarette smoker, dude. I was smoking like around like a pack a day, and then I eventually switched over to vaping. Tomorrow marks 2 weeks with no tobacco, no vape, no nothing. Now I'm still on like the nicotine gum and shit, but 2 weeks, I'm pretty fucking proud of myself right now, dude.
Yo, how is the patches and the gum going for you, bro?
Well, we decided not to do the patches anymore, mainly because we ran out and we don't want to buy it anymore because it's pretty fucking expensive. And so we're just sticking to the gum. And actually, my wife, she hasn't fucked with the gum in the last 2 days at all. So she's like, she's good. She doesn't need the gum at all anymore. I'm still needing it occasionally. I'm not chewing on it all day though, like I used to. Like in the first couple of days, I get like 3 pieces left. That'll last me throughout the day. So it's coming up on the time of being completely done with everything nicotine, and I'm never going back.
It's about breaking that oral fixation, man. And that's the first step. You get that hand to mouth broken, and then you get the oral fixation broken, and you're on the right path, man. Like props to you. It's fucking difficult to break that habit. Because it's like a lot of cigarette smokers, man, you stop. Like I stopped years ago, but I still do this thing, man, where I like suck on the inside of my lip because it's an oral fixation. It's not even like about the nicotine itself, you know? That's just an added extra way to get you attached to it.
Well, you know what I found too is that ever since I quit, I've been noticing like a huge boost in energy, like crazy, dude. I'm talking about like, what is the, I don't want to get too
No, but your lungs aren't full of shit, dude. That's why your cardio is up. You got more oxygen in your blood. You feeling alive, dude.
The libido's up, dude. Getting a little weird up in here.
Fucking right.
Like everything's up. Yeah, literally.
There you go.
But it is nice. Like I feel like I'm a lot younger version of myself, dude. It's just crazy, like how chemicals can make you feel older and make you feel more tired, and you need a nap. And like, I don't need no fucking nap. I'm wide awake, and I feel like, you know, I heard somebody describe it once where they were saying like the reason why people the reason why some people would vape or smoke or something like that is because it's kind of like it helps dampen the ADD and the ADHD.
That'd be me.
That is 100% me, dude. Like, I have found, holy shit, I feel like I'm just a fucking cokehead running around here all day. Like, it's the energy that you get now after getting off of that. It's pretty awesome. I suggest it for everybody.
Are the creative juices flowing better?
Yeah, still the same for the creative juices. It's just that I have like more thinking power almost. I don't even know how to describe that, but kind of, I don't know. I just feel like I can, because, you know, whenever you're doing a little bit of research and maybe like after an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, eventually your mind starts to turn to mashed potatoes. And like whenever you were in school, you're like, dude, 8 hours, like I'm good for the first couple, but 8 fucking hours of learning, like it's just, my mind is spaghetti now. And I feel like it's not so much like that anymore. So I heard that.
That's what you keep the cannabis around for. That's for the creative juices, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. So
hold on, guys. We have to take a break to pay some bills. But if you don't like hearing the ads, then I have a solution for you. You can get ad-free and early access to this show and Bizarre Encounters with Shayn Orin on the Open Minds Media Patreon for just $1 a month. It's a great way to support the show and all the hard work behind it. And if you're interested in merch store discounts or video versions of the show, then there are a few other tiers with additional benefits with 7-day free trials available. And we are back, so let's hop right in.
anyway, let's get back over here. What they do over in Iran, it's called Shabi Yalda.
I like it.
Looks pretty cool to me, but it says Shabi Yalda is a Persian winter solstice festival that dates back to 502 BC and is still celebrated today in Iran and Central Asia. According to the Iranian solar calendar, it falls on the last day of the month of Azar when the forces of Ahriman, which means darkness, are at their peak. This is followed by the month of Day, the first day of which is known as Koram Ruz and symbolizes the creator, Ahura Mazda. Oh, remember we talked about
this. I was about to say, as I'm hearing all this, this isn't, because when we think of Iran, we think of Iran today, right? We think of the Ayatollah, we think of the Islamic fundamentalists. We forget that Zoroastrianism was the religion of choice for that region of the world for, the last 3,000 to 4,000 years, depending on your source. The whole religious revolution that took place in the 1970s, making Iran what we know today, people don't understand. That's a very, very recent thing for this region. This festival has gone back since 502, bro. That's insane.
502 BC.
Right, BC, excuse me. So we're talking at least 2,500 years more of this religion.
I mean, shit, you can go back to like old pictures of the 70s. I had one dude that came on and kind of broke down the show recently. But yeah, going back to the 70s, man, you can find pictures of Iran and everything where it's almost like Western culture. People are walking around, they're with their families in the park, like wearing normal clothes.
Women were
like
wearing T-shirts and bell bottoms and shit. It looked very normal.
Well, normal to us anyway.
Yeah, Western culture normal.
Fair.
Yeah. So it says Shabi Yalda is therefore a festival marking the end of the winter darkness, and Shabi Yalda literally translates to rebirth of the sun. So it says ancient Persians built fires at sundown of Shabi Yalda and kept them burning until sunrise. They gathered with friends and family to listen to stories, drink songs. Oh, they would listen to drinking songs, I guess. And feast, all of which is still done today. Nuts and fruits are often eaten during this holiday. Watermelon and pomegranates are particularly significant since their red color signifies the rising sun. Special dishes are cooked like the Iranian chicken stew with walnuts and pomegranates and ash reshteh, which is a noodle soup with fresh herbs. So that's interesting. I mean, because we were talking about the other day about the red sun on the Japanese flag. Ryan Gable,
isn't that Sam?
No, Ryan Gable was saying the Japanese flag is the red sun. Remember?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I was talking about Sam because he's always telling me he hates Japan. Love you, Sam.
Shout out to Samuel, the spirit animal of this show. But no,
Indeed.
it's interesting. So they would have all of their food would be red to signify the rising sun.
That's
this
right.
is in Iran, right? And so then you look at the Christmas colors. It's mainly red and white for the snow, I guess.
What? There's significance as to why red and green or red and white are Christmas colors. But again, that's very cultural. One of the examples I have brought up, you have the quote unquote Santa looking dude, but then his counterpart is a lady who's blue and white. And that's very cultural to that area. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but I did want to mention something you brought up. The Zoroastrians, for this festival, they would light a fire and keep it burning all night. That's also a big deal because you remember they worship fire as a deity or as like their deity's physical presence on this earth. And like, I remember it was 12 different sources. It's what's needed to create the purest fire for their religious purposes. One of those sources needs to be lightning, by the way. And it's crazy. So for them to take a fire like this for this once a year festival and keep it burning, we got to keep in mind, this wasn't just like a bonfire. Like, no, this was important. They were in the presence of their God when they were doing this with this fire all night long. So that's pretty wild, man.
These things were a pyre. Like, I'm sure that they had these things stacked up, and these fires were probably like a couple 100 feet tall and took up like a whole clearing in the woods. Like, have you ever seen those things with the modern day festivals? They reenact these fires. Like, those things are massive, man.
But that's the thing. I wonder if this was more of like everybody in their own home did this, or was it the whole village turned out for the big fire? Maybe it was both. I mean, who knows?
I mean, you definitely got to collab for that big fire, man, because you can have a bunch of little fires, but at the end of the day, man, that big fire is what everybody wants to see.
I mean, there's going to be people trying to throw a party about it. There are going to be those quiet folk. They're just, y'all have your party. I'm just having a little fire at the house. And then you got those that are trying to turn up. No doubt.
Everybody pitch in a log and some gasoline. Let's see what we can do with this thing.
In the name of Ahura Mazda, of course. Blessings and shit.
Blessings into his name. So, nextly, after Iran, you have Japan. And it says in Japan, the winter solstice is known as Toji. Is it Toji? I think so. Toji.
Toji.
They don't do the soft J's there. I think that would be Toji.
Yeah, you got to say it hard. The Toji.
Yeah, angry.
It says it's believed that yin energy of cold and darkness is at its zenith at the shortest day of the year before warm light yang energy comes into play. So the solstice represents the harmony and balance between those two life forces. Toji is less a festival and more a series of traditions. One of the most well-known is to take a hot bath or onsen infused with yuzu, citrus fruits said to ward off bad luck and stimulate the circulation. Another tradition is to eat toji no nanakusa, 7 foods said to bring good luck. The 7 foods are pumpkin, carrot, kumquat, agar, ginkgo, lotus root, and udon noodles.
So orange shit. Heard that.
Oh, yeah.
And that seems to also be another symbol for the sun, too, because, you start diving into some of the old, like, even English Christmas traditions where they do the thing where they would cut the oranges and they dry them out and they kind of get a more reddish color. Another symbol for the sun, man.
Interesting. Okay.
And kumquats are basically just a tiny little orange. I don't know if you guys have ever eaten those things. They taste like crap because they're really bitter unless they're mixed with other stuff. But, yeah, basically just a miniature orange.
Oh, here they grow sweet.
I was about to say, I remember them being sweet, the kumquats.
I bought 2 packs.
If they're not ripe, they'll be bitter and like they'll sting your tongue almost because of how sour they are. But I also fuck with sour food, so like that was a jam for me. But yeah.
See, I think the issue with Michigan at least is that like a lot of our fruits when they come in, it's like you'll get bitter blackberries, you'll get bitter a lot of everything up here because I think it's a matter of like they'll stock stuff up ahead of time, so you're not actually getting stuff at like that key right point. Because I've bought kumquats at 3 different occasions, 3 different places, and every single time I've had them, they've been bitter as shit. And I let them sit to the point where they're starting to get a little bit mushy, and they're still bitter as shit. So I just assume that they were bitter.
No. You got to pick it straight off the tree, big dog.
Well, I guess I got to head down south for that, man.
Right, you do. Yes, indeed. Let's make it happen.
Dude, you know what I miss being back up in Pennsylvania? We would always have those the crabapple trees. You ever ate a crabapple?
I've never eaten a crab apple, but being a Michigander, dude, we have more fucking apple trees than I swear any other state. Like, it's grown into the fiber of the state that if you're a Michigander, like you gotta like apple stuff, apple pie, apple butter, apple everything, man. We have so many cider mills around, especially my area, that it's not even funny, man. Like you can throw a stone and then go to that place, throw another stone. Every single time you'll end up hitting another apple orchard.
Damn. Well, I remember whenever I was growing up, we used to always have these crab apple. I don't know if they were trees or more like bush-like trees, I think.
Yeah.
But dude, that is some sour, super sour apples if you like or shit.
I'm about to say we humans aren't supposed to eat crab apples.
Technically,
Like,
apples came from crab apples, and it was actually selecting specific genes, and they eventually got it to a point where it became something sweet. And that was all.
Yeah.
I think it may have even partly been the natives that started kind of getting that to transition over, because they did the same thing with corn, because the corn that they knew versus the corn that we know, very, very different.
Very different. They were eating red and blue corn. We don't even know what that shit looks like, most white people, honestly. But
You date back even farther, and the shit just looked like blades of grass with like little bumps on it.
like baby corn almost.
Yeah, like maize,
Honestly.
like straight maize, man.
But what you were saying about the crab apples, I guess I misspoke. Like acorns, for instance, humans can eat them. You just have to boil them like 8 or 9 times and dump the water to get the bitterness out of them and soften them up. You can eat crab apples, but it's not like you're not wanting to eat this raw. It's not like you'll die. It's safe for human consumption, but like you said, it'll make you think twice about it. That's for sure. We had them on our deer plot. Deer love crab apples. They will fuck that shit up. And since we don't eat them,
Got to use them for something.
Good shooting lane.
We used to eat the fuck out of those things, dude. Maybe that's why I'm a little fucked up. That's it. You know what I
You
mean?
ate them raw, dude?
Dude, right off the stem.
Like, how big were they? Like, show me with your hand. Make sure we're talking about the same thing here.
Like that big?
Oh, like the
shit,
little
no, y'all were
ones.
eating straight up crab apples.
Yeah.
Dude.
Dude, I've shit whipped those things a million times. Those things seem like they're hard as a damn brick. I don't even know how you'd
They
bite
are.
into that thing comfortably and like enjoy it.
When you're
Did
a
you
little
cut
kid.
it?
Dude, the thing is that whenever you're a little kid and your parents tell you, don't even think about coming back onto our property until the sun goes down. Like,
Yeah.
so me and my brother and sister, we would always go run out in the woods and we would go run in the neighbor's yard and all that shit. And we would always take their blackberries and their blueberries and crab apples and shit. That was our breakfast and lunch, bro. Most days was crab apples.
Damn, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You're the first person I've ever heard say this. That's wild.
On a separate note of also remembering stuff doing as a kid, do you guys remember when you guys used to be able to go out in the field and find some of those wild strawberries, and they were like these tiny ass little strawberries, but they were like crazy sweet?
No,
Those.
I don't know if it's a Michigan thing, maybe.
Blackberries growing everywhere, but never wild strawberries.
Maybe it's a Michigan thing, man. I remember back when I lived out in the country and shit as a kid, man. Like, we just take off into the field and we'd collect these things, and they were like maybe the size of like your thumb fingernail, but they were like the sweetest strawberries I've ever had in my life.
Fucking right.
I miss being a
I'm
little kid.
pissed.
That was good times.
Right?
I just found out that the cloudberry is a thing. And I'm
Cloudberry?
pissed. Yeah, cloudberry. They only grow in 2 places on Earth. One of them is in, I think, like in Oregon and Washington area. The other one is Finland. And the only reason why is because somebody took the berries from America and brought them there. They have festivals there and shit. And it's like you have to pick them and eat them within 24 hours because they spoil so quick. And that's why people turn them into jams and shit. And apparently, it is a life-changing berry. And I'm pissed that I've, first off, just now, as a grown man, discovered that it was a thing. And
never heard of it.
secondly, yeah, it's so unknown. It's bright ass orange too. It's cool looking.
Dude,
Anyway,
did that like some wild, like certain places are so specific with like whatever their berry or their fruit or whatever that they're known for. Like, if you ever been out to California, they got what is the name of that? They got like a amusement park out there, Knott's Berry Farm, and they're known for the boysenberry.
yeah,
Dude, that shit, it's kind of like a blueberry and a blackberry mixed with something else, but it
a
is
little bit of raspberry thrown in there.
yeah, dude, so good.
Isn't there something up near like Seattle? I think I've seen like a couple shows where they made like jokes about it, but there's this thing that's almost like a blackberry, but it's the same thing. It'll get mushy way too quick. So the only way you can sell it in mass production is if you made it into like jams. But the people that live in the area say it's like the sweetest blackberry you'll ever have in your entire life. And it's like specific to this region in Washington.
Yeah, I've heard of that, and it's not a blackberry, but it looks just like one. And fuck.
Didn't they say it tastes like a blueberry, but it looks like a blackberry or something?
I just heard about this. Oh man, now I'm pissed. Okay, all right. It's something, and that's my point. We have all of this amazing shit at our disposal. We have the internet, we have Amazon, we could order it, we could have it show up. We just don't know any of it. This is that lost knowledge.
You must be talking about the Marionberry.
That's the one.
That's yep.
Yeah, it says it looks similar to, it's like an Oregon blackberry.
Yep, I've been told about them. I've been told that I have just not lived life because I have never tried a Marionberry.
I've heard the same thing before, man. I had a buddy that lived out there that said he was going to send me some jam made from this stuff, and he never got around to it, man. So I'm kind of bummed out because it's always going to sit in the back of my mind like I was that close to getting to try some of this stuff, man.
I'm curious what Marionberry wine tastes like personally.
There you go.
Delicious.
That's a good way to preserve it, too. I mean, you ain't got to worry about it spoiling because you want it to ferment.
Look, there's more than one way to skin a cat, gents.
Well, speaking of wine, why don't we get right over to Saturnalia in ancient
Let's go.
This is not going to be a long, drawn-out thing. We all have heard the stories of Saturnalia and the role changing and all that fun jazz. But it says Saturnalia was a week-long festival coinciding with the winter solstice to honor Saturn, the god of farming and the harvest. Pigs were sacrificed at a temple dedicated to Saturn and then eaten at a public feast. Work was suspended, even for slaves, and the week was devoted to singing, feasting, partying, and generally indulging. In fact, the word Saturnalia is used in the modern day context to refer to a bout of indulgence and revelry. Many traditions originating in Saturnalia have found their way into our modern Christmas celebrations. These include decorating our homes with wreaths and sprigs of greenery, wearing colorful clothes, known as synthesis, and giving gifts to each other. A popular gift were wax candles known as sarai, which symbolized the return of the light after the solstice.
And that's a pretty common Christmas present even nowadays, man. You're doing some pagan shit without even realizing it when you're buying your girl a candle for Christmas.
Oh, dude, let me show you something right quick. I'm practicing candle magic on a daily basis over here. I got all the different colors. No, it's not on a daily basis. It's mainly for meta mysteries. We get into some candle magic and shit. It is pretty cool. And it does work. I just want to throw it out there. I'm not going to get into specifics. If you do want to know about specifics, come check out Meta Mysteries. That link is down in the show notes. Anyhow, but yeah, that is wild, dude. I mean, they don't get into the even wilder things that were going on at Saturnalia. Of course, this is the History Channel, kind of topic here, but they're
keeping it as family friendly as they can. Saturnalia got fucking buck wild.
It sounds to me like they really, really, really PG'd the hell out of that.
Yeah.
That was the most Disney Channel friendly version of Saturnalia I think I've ever heard.
It barely even covered it, to be honest with you.
They gave candles and it was a feast. That's what you took from it, bro. If you would have ever gone to a single dinner of Saturnalia and you would have come back with that report, I would have questioned your mental status, to be honest with you, but okay.
It's like you spelled orgy wrong. So yeah, Saturnalia was a wild time, and this is kind of just a run through. It's not going to get into in depth. I just kind of wanted to bring a lot of these up. I didn't know that even the Hopi got into this kind of stuff. If you're somebody that has ever looked into the Hopi tribes and the Blue Star Kachina and the Hopi prophecies and all that fun shit, they have what is called Soya Luna. And it says Soya Luna, also known as soil, like royal, but soil, in the winter solstice celebration of the Hopi, Zuni, and Pueblo Indians. It signifies the rebirth of the sun and the start of a new agricultural cycle with important rituals to bring back the sun from its slumber and is still practiced today. Soil ceremonies involving chanting and dancing take place in kivas, underground ceremonial chambers that serve as spiritual centers for the Hopi people. It is believed that this paves the way for the arrival of the Kachinas, guardian spirits who carry prayers to the gods for good harvest and plentiful rain. Before the ceremony, special altars and sacred objects, including brightly painted Kachina dolls, are prepared.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. But isn't it interesting, like how almost all ancient like people and traditions and stuff, it all really goes back to like just like honoring the solstices in one way or another, depending on, it doesn't matter which god, but it's still, around that time that they're all waiting for the sun to come back.
Well, I mean, they all recognize that it's the longest night. And I mean, it's not like they were so much more attuned, but at the same time, they were more attuned. They didn't have their face stuck in a screen all day or in a book for that matter. They were acutely aware of the world around them. They looked up at the stars every single night. They would know if a star was slightly out of place from where it has been every other night for the past 10 years that they've looked up at the exact same sky. They would notice when the sun is in the sky for a longer duration and when it is in the sky for a shorter duration. So all these people from all these cultures finding significance in that. And yes, they took it to spiritual places because how could you not? That the sun is what gives you life. It gives you everything. It gives the plants food. It gives the animals food. It brings you day and warmth and all these things. If it's going away for a longer period of time, something spiritual simply must be happening. So it makes perfect sense that everybody across the world has found a way to bring that into their culture in vast different, totally different ways. The Hopi's doing dolls like that. That's fucking cool.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. And we are back, so let's get back to it.
Well, that's the Kachina. Shayn, have you ever looked into the Hopi prophecies and that kind of stuff? It's pretty wild, dude.
Oh yeah, I've dug into a lot of this stuff with the Hopi, and I mean even like the Pueblo clowns and stuff like that too. It seems like a lot of these events that they do, they seem to kind of have like the same tropes, and it's just a matter of like they kind of decorate it differently depending on the event, but it's always a matter of like a giant celebration, dancing, powwows, all that kind of shit. But I mean, altogether as like all these different cultures, I mean, you either have two ways of looking at it. Either one, you can be scared because it's the longest night, and you're not going to see the sun. Or on the other side of it, you can kind of bring some optimism into it and almost like distract yourself from the fact that the sun's not around and just kind of view it as a time for the sun to rebirth rather than being scared that the sun is going to go away forever. So it's like two different sides of the coin. You can look at it as the scariest night, or you can also look at it as the most positive night. But if you're looking at it as the scariest night, the best way to counteract that is to fill it with as much hope as possible. So here you go. Celebrate with your family, have a giant fire, just distract yourself from the fact that the sun's not around and create your own warmth and sun with your family, your friends, your culture, your community, all the people around you.
Well, yeah. Like, every day, isn't it like, and I could be wrong, I always get these mixed up, but whenever the winter solstice happens, so that is the longest night of the year, but gradually every day after that is whenever there's becoming more light and getting rid of, not getting rid of, but there's just less darkness from every day on after the winter solstice.
Until the summer solstice. And then the process goes back into the other direction.
Reversing. Yeah. Right. Damn, dude.
And then the equinoxes are the midway points when things are at their equal, right?
Right. So, nextly, let's get over to Dongzi, China. I'm sure that's not how it's said, but it might be. It looks cool.
I mean, I think you might be right. I don't know how the Chinese do their inflections, but I would read that to be Dongzi.
I mean, considering a lot of the names with the ong sounds, yeah, I would say Dongzi too.
Yeah.
It might be Zidong.
Zidong. That sounds a little bit more German.
I'm about to say, that sounds fucking Nazi, dog.
Zidong.
Over in Dongzi, China, it says, in China and other Eastern Asian countries, winter solstice is known as Dongzi, which means winter's arrival. And it's been celebrated since the Han Dynasty of 206 BC to 220 AD. On Dongzi, Chinese people traditionally worship heaven, as it was believed this would result in a good harvest. People also visit their ancestral temples, paying homage to them by burning incense and laying out ceremonial food. It's tradition to drink rice wine on Dongzi night in southern China, as well as to eat gluttonous rice balls called tanguin, I think. In northern China, people make and eat dumplings, which were said to have been created by Dr. Zhang Zongjing.
Yeah.
I love those names. In ancient times as a cure for frostbite.
So when the Chinese do their winter solstice celebration, they get drunk off of sake. They eat food prepared for the occasion, and they honor their ancestors and burn incense. Okay.
You got to get warm. You got to pack on a little bit extra weight to keep you warm. 2 birds, 1 stone, man. Just a lot of rice.
I like it.
You want to hear a happy coincidence? And this is not a marketing scheme. I just so happen to be drinking Coke for the Christmas episode.
You and me both.
Love it.
Dang,
I even got the classic Santa Claus on there, and I'm sure we'll probably get into that at some point tonight too.
Hell yeah. All right.
Damn.
Well, that's pretty much what I got. What are you guys up to with your Christmas fun time traditions?
By all means, Shane, what you got, dude?
I mean, you want to get into what I wanted to try to somewhat present today?
Let's get
Fuck
tricky.
yeah.
So what I was trying to present today, I didn't actually bring an article for this one, but this is something that I've kind of dived into a lot myself, and it's just a bunch of different pieces in a bunch of different places. But I mean, like we kind of talked about with all these other different cultures, the aspect of a bunch of things kind of compiling to create what we know as present day Christmas. But the one that seems to link the most from at least my research to like what we celebrate today is like the Scandinavian views of Christmas and all the background of it, where it actually kind of links back into being more of like a mushroom holiday. And I guess this can partially link in with some of the Santa Claus stuff too, but we can kind of come back around to that. But like originally, I mean, you look at all this old Christmas stuff and all of it had Amanita muscaria all over it. Like there was always like the elves holding them. I have like 30 different little figurines and like little pictures and stuff that I got from family members that are like old Christmas stuff, and they all have the mushrooms and everything attached to them. And I mean, kind of getting into their views of it, and it seems to connect when you kind of put all the pieces together. Essentially, with their culture, it was a matter of trying to get over the hump of winter to kind of get yourself like motivated to get into like the rest of the year. So the whole idea was that it was this shamanic mushroom holiday where basically you would have this shaman who would show up to your house. He would have Amanita muscaria, and basically he would come to the family. He would end up sharing it with the family, and that would give him hope coming into the new year. But this mushroom shaman, they were known for wearing these big red coats with like the white frill on them to keep themselves warm and everything. And they would usually come on sleighs that were driven by reindeer. And the reindeer fact kind of comes in because the thing with Amanita muscaria is that it's technically a neurotoxin, but that aspect gets pulled out if a reindeer ingests it first. So actually, you have to ingest reindeer piss in order to get Amanita muscaria without the neurotoxin part of it. So that's where the reindeer start kind of tying into this stuff. So kind of going,
know that.
Yep. So I mean,
This is the
there's
first
even
I'm hearing this, big dog. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Wait.
That's awesome.
So to get the psychedelic effects of the Amanita muscaria mushroom, and we're talking back in the day. These days, things are different. People are cleaner about things, whatever. But you're telling me these people were drinking the reindeer's piss, dude?
Yep. The reindeers would eat the Amanita muscaria, and then it would take out the neurotoxin because it wouldn't affect them. And then you drink the reindeer's piss, and then you would get the actual, I don't even necessarily know if it was psychedelic, but I would always hear it was more of like a drunken feeling with a mixture of like psychedelic mindset. And that's what you'd end up getting from it. So there's actually, I've seen a bunch of different videos of like these art installations that'll do this stuff over in Europe where they'll basically have a bunch of reindeer, you know, that they'll have eat Amanita muscaria, and they'll just collect the pee, and then everybody will drink it, and it becomes this like thing. But it's been a thing forever because the only ways that you can really ingest it without getting hit by that is by, I believe you can dry it and smoke it too. And then obviously through the reindeer piss, but that's supposed to be the most direct, pleasant way of doing it. Besides the fact, of course, that you're drinking reindeer piss.
Right.
Psychedelic. It says Santa's reindeer and psychedelic urine.
See, I told you.
Oh, dude.
You learn something new every day, people. This is what this show is for. Good God.
That is awesome.
So connecting more into the Christmas stuff. So usually at this time in Scandinavia, like everything would be completely covered in snow. So the only way this guy would be able to usually get into the house was through the chimney. So that's where the chimney aspect comes in, that this guy would come down the chimney and he would give you the gifts of the mushrooms in order for you to have hope for going into the following year. Now, this is where it ties into some other weird stuff. So pine trees, they specifically would be where Amanita muscaria would grow during the winter. They would grow underneath these trees. So that's where you get the idea of presents underneath the trees from Scandinavian folklore going into this stuff. And on top of that, when you would ingest this stuff, a lot of people would believe that they would see elves. They would have these interactions with elves. So that's where the elf aspect comes in. Now it gets even weirder. So in order to dry these mushrooms out,
for if people were trying to ingest them through smoking and other means, you would either one, collect them, put them up in a tree and let them dry out in the tree. And that's where a lot of people believe the idea from ornaments actually came from. Or the other way that you would do it is that you'd put it in a sock and you would dry it over your fireplace. So that's where you get the idea of stockings that come into this mixture of things. But for at least for me, connecting all this stuff, this seemed like it was probably the closest to like what we know as this type of stuff. But then, of course, as folklore, everything kind of starts getting mixed around. You get the St. Nicholas aspect that comes in. And then, of course, the red suit gets drawn into him from the Scandinavian folklore. And then, of course, a lot of people may not know this, but the modern image that everybody knows as Santa Claus was actually created by Coca-Cola back in, what was it, the 1920s or something like that, if I wasn't mistaken?
20s or 30s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 20s or 30s. So, like, the image of Santa Claus never existed as we know it today. Like, you know, you had St. Nicholas, which was depicted a very different way. But if you start looking into this old Christmas stuff, you'll find a bunch of stuff that involves elves, mushrooms, Amanita muscaria specifically, and they're usually growing underneath pine trees. So it's just a mixture of this shamanistic mushroom holiday accompanying with all of the other stuff that you've said. But at least from my research, I feel like this is the closest to like what we're looking at as modern day Christmas. But obviously we came from the English settlers, the English aspect of things. So I know in one of the earlier ones you were talking about in that last project, you were talking about the Anglo-Saxons and the whole Yule concept that gets mixed in. So the Anglo-Saxons were in England. You have the Scandinavians that were coming over from England. So you end up having this mixture of the Yule stuff mixed with the Scandinavian stuff, which is also, I guess, Scandinavian in a way too. And then you end up with this modern day, what we know as Christmas, seemingly coming from Scandinavia / I guess the Vikings, which is also another part of Scandinavia. So honestly, it seems like our traditions all come from, you know, a mixture of the three Scandinavian countries. Well, I know some don't consider Finland one, but you know, it's still sitting there.
Dude. All right. So you have these Amanita muscaria mushrooms and you don't want to die off of them or be poisoned by them. So basically you get the reindeer to eat them for you. And then you drink their piss because somehow it's like a lot safer to drink, you know, hallucinogenic reindeer piss than it is to consume these fucking mushrooms. And
Sure.
So you drink the reindeer hallucinogenic wee and then you're seeing fucking machine elves. That in and of itself, that story alone, you're on a reindeer, you're drinking reindeer pee, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you drink it, you're seeing fucking mechanical elves, and that's the story as to Santa has all these little helpers. And it is interesting, though, like you think about the elves that some people see within DMT trips or mushroom trips or whatever, LSD, whatever, they're always like pointing and laughing and they're joking, or maybe they're working really hard, and it's like that joyous like Christmas spirit that you always associated with elves anyway. So hey dude, I love the origin story of all this stuff. Like it's so cool.
They're giving you hope, man. That's the present, man. They're giving you hope for the following year, man.
But could you imagine being snowed in your yurt? You know, you and your wife and your, you know, however many feral offspring you've produced, you know, and you're snowed in. You're fucking snowed in. You got provisions. You got food. You're going to make it work. This isn't your first winter of the North. You know what I mean? But one of your homies is out there in a sleigh doing his thing, and he drops in some psychedelic reindeer piss. Thank Thor, right? And then boom, you're over here getting, like you said, a little, it's more of a drunk, but a little psychedelic. So my boy's getting inter-esoterically crossfaded while he's snowed in with his one-room yurt with him and his family. I'm like, bro, fuck that. That actually sounds like a bad time to, well, unless you're the guy. Unless you're the guy who's like, you know, take a first swig of the piss, then maybe you're, I don't know.
I mean, on the other side, that might be the only way you don't end up killing your family, man. If you're able to, like, mentally escape for a while. Like, can you imagine the break that you would get if you were just trapped inside this house with your family for weeks and weeks and weeks? Like, coming from parents, man, you know what it's like being trapped in a confined space with your kids for a long time. Like,
you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I put a wrong tone on this. Let's adjust perspective slightly, okay? Let's take it all in. You're snowed in, been stuck with these kids and this wife, and like for days, it's been snowed in. And your boy drops you a lifeline. And he says, bro, slow sip it, make it last. It'll get you through the hump. Your boy just gave you the ability to microdose through the winter solstice, and you're going to take all your family's bullshit in stride and just be like, you're going to be a lot clearer minded about it all. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, bro.
Giving you some backstock, man. That's when you got to dry this stuff out, because assumably this guy was coming down with here's your direct stuff, drink this reindeer piss, but also to get you through the rest of the season, here's some other stuff, put it on a tree, let it dry over your fireplace. You can have it in a couple weeks. You can smoke it. You can do it. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just don't eat it. Just make sure you smoke it, because otherwise you'll end up happening with Buddha.
Bro.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Honestly, though, if you really think about it, like how many people hate like getting the family together for Christmas. It's crazy, hectic holidays. You got your mother-in-law and your father-in-law, and you're like kissing their ass a little bit, and maybe you don't like them because they probably said something about you last year that everybody's just chosen to forget, in order to go along with the beautiful holiday spirit, and we're all trying to get along. Imagine not having to deal with any of that, because everybody's tripping off of reindeer piss, bro. Everybody's tripping. Oh, it's a fucking jolly holiday now. Everybody's merry. Wouldn't you think? I'd be merry as fuck if everybody in the family was tripping balls, bro. Think about that.
Visions of sugar plums dancing their head takes on a little bit of a different meaning, man.
Fucking right, dude. Spike the mead with a little bit of that yolly, because I can't say jolly, it's Nordic. So that yolly piss, you know what I'm saying? Let's get after it. Like, get the party started. Everybody's just kind of really vibing out of nowhere. This party went from everybody was grabbing their axes to all of a sudden everybody's just kind of vibing by the fire, man. I'm liking okay. I'm about it. I'm fucking about this.
Everybody starts to carol a little bit, It's like we're all picking up on the vibes and everybody's getting in tune and in sync with each other. It's like
a little harmony.
I just imagine one guy peeking out some little tiny hole in the side of his yurt, and he's just like, all right, the shaman's coming. Put the damn fire out so we can get in.
No shit. Yes, indeed.
I love it, dude. I actually, I kind of wanted to read that article a little bit, if that's all right.
Oh, absolutely, man.
This is the first I've ever in my life heard this. I've heard about the reindeer. I've heard about them coming through the roof because they were snowed in. I've heard about the muscaria and the evergreen trees. I've never heard that the whole thing through the piss. So please tell us more here, bro.
So it says, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid, Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall why there are even reindeer at all? It's one of the greatest mysteries in the annals of modern Christmas folklore. Why is Santa Claus's sleigh pulled by a fleet of flying reindeer? And why and where exactly did this whimsical Yuletide image come from? Attempts to answer this question have led to some decidedly far-out theories, with the most provocative and amusing undoubtedly being that Santa's flying reindeer are the dim reflection of an ancient practice whereby Arctic shamans routinely imbibed hallucinogenic reindeer urine in order to experience the sensation of flying. This is giving off witch vibes.
He's flying over that snow, man. It's a flying sled, man. It's just glazing over that shit.
Dude, Santa Claus is like Christmas witch, if you really think about it. Like, that's what they would do. They would have like this balm, right? And they would put it all over their body. Some of them would put it, in their mouth or whatever. But if you really wanted to fly, it was like psychedelic weird balm or whatever that the witches were using. If you really wanted to fly, you'd hike up a little bit of that ointment up into your cooter, bro, and you'd be fucking flying. And that's the whole. That's literally the reason why the folklore around the witches flying on broomsticks, because it was mainly just women always in the kitchen with the broom and sweeping and everything, so they had it, but then they would fly because they'd be hallucinating their fucking tits off. Everybody's hallucinating. Halloween, Christmas, let's get weird, baby. But it says it's an odd claim for sure, but it's become increasingly common, having been highlighted by such mainstream media outlets as NPR, New York Times, The Atlantic, retired University of Idaho historian Richard B. Spence also raises the possibility in his Secrets of the Occult lecture series for Wondrium, formerly The Great Courses. So many people have brought up this whole idea. So it says, so what is the origin of this urine-fueled claim? And more importantly, is there any validity to it? Dude, check out this old picture. Old Santa Claus with much delight.
Look at his hat.
Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. But just a quick reminder, if you'd like to rock some gear for one of your favorite podcasts, creatures, or topics, hop on over to the Open Minds Media store on Etsy and Printify for a wide range of designs with new drops regularly. The most recent design available is the Squatch Country Fear and Loathing parody design, with Sasquatch as Hunter S. Thompson and Mothman as Dr. Gonzo, with artwork by Chris Holm of the Conspire Theory podcast. Welcome back to the show. Now let's dive right in.
Kind of a weird thing to think about too, man. You end up making an offering to Santa. You're talking about the whole witch aspect, man. Like, you know, we think about him as being this merry guy that just comes around, gives presents to everybody. But what's part of the ritual, man? You got to give this guy cookies and milk before he'll bring you presents. So, I mean, you're making an offering, man.
We leave him Taco Bell.
Leave him a little bit of eggnog and some Taco Bell. And the good eggnog with the whiskey in it.
The Santa Claus at my house gets a fucking Baja Blast and usually a burrito of some type. I'm gonna be real with you. I got my kids convinced that he's tired of the cookies. We need to give him a little bit of sustenance, a little bit of protein, and they're on board. And like one year we did a Big Mac. We change it up.
Dude, I started making my daughter do the eggnog for that same reason, because I was like, Santa needs a little pick-me-up, you know? He's trying to keep warm out there.
Absolutely.
That is such a great idea. I think Santa Claus is really craving pizza this year, as a matter of fact, in my crib.
Why not? Like, why not? Like, yeah, sure. Does he love cookies? Everyone leaves him cookies. And like, yo, you leave him some there too, but let's just be real. If I was to hit, my neighborhood has 1,000 houses in it. Just off of that alone, if I was to hit 1,000 houses and only get different types of cookies and milk, I'd rather die. Yo, somebody throw me a fucking summer sausage or something, a charcuterie board. Let's make that, so like, hey, I try to be a homie for Santa Claus.
I was just about to say, man, Santa Claus wants a 6-pack and a brat, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. Yes.
I love it.
So it says, but let's get back to old Santa Claus and that first reindeer. Apparently, early 19th century readers were just as baffled by Santa's new means of conveyance as folklorists are today, and at least one wrote to Gilly to inquire about the idea's origin. Gilly replied that he'd asked the poem's author, whose identity he didn't divulge and whom scholars have never been able to place, the same question, and was informed by that far in the north near the Arctic lands a series of animals exist. These hooven and antlered animals resemble the reindeer and are feared and honored by those around. As you see, he claims to have heard they could fly from his mother being an Indian from the area. So anyway, we don't have to read the whole thing, but it's basically getting into, it says these mushrooms have known psychoactive properties and are toxic to humans, but the reindeer's liver and kidneys filter out the toxins and distill the psychedelics into the animal's urine, which the Samis or Swamis, I think it's probably Swamis, Swamis shamans then drink. Okay.
This is new information for me. I'm loving it. And I'm glad they brought up the whole reindeer thing. You remember that whole 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I saw a sleigh pulled by 8 tiny reindeer. Yo, reindeer ain't fucking tiny. They're like the size of an elk.
I
They're
guess
like an up-armored cow.
If you're looking at them out in the night sky, they're probably tiny whenever they're 1,000 feet up.
Okay, that's fair.
The shaman purposely picks smaller reindeer so that they think they can fly and they'll weigh a little bit less. It's a matter of flight dynamics. You have to pick the lighter weight thing in order for it to fly. You can't be going out here and picking the biggest reindeer. You got to pick the smallest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the reason why I shave my armpits. It makes me more aerodynamic when I fight.
Jonathan, shut the fuck up. Oh, my God. I love it. Yep, that's exactly what that's for. Although I honestly can't shit on you too hard for it, because as much as I want to, I mean, it makes it more direct contact when you're putting on deodorant. So, I mean, it makes it to where you pretty much never stink. So as much as I want to throw all of the shade and talk the shit, I understand there is, in fact, a method to this madness.
I'll play devil's advocate on the armpit thing, though. You got to have the hair in order to get the deodorant to stick up in there, Like, it's got to retain for a little while. If you ain't got no armpit hair, it's just going to sweat out and it's not going to stay there, man. You need the armpit hair to make it stick.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of been something that I was doing like back in high school with football. All the football players, we were all shaving every part of our body hair because we thought that it would make us run faster. And it was just like a stupid misunderstanding because that's more of a swimmer's kind of thing, I think. But you know, we were shaving our legs and our fucking arms and our chest and armpits and everything. But I still kept the armpits. I like it nice and groomed. And I'm not taking like a razor to it. Like I'm just using the Manscaped on it.
Yeah, I heard that. I use the Manscaped and I try to leave like a half inch. Because, like, I'm going to be straight up, I'm a hairy dude. If my armpits were bald, that would be fucking weird.
You got 2 days before that shit's itchy as fuck, too.
So I try to leave, like, a half to 3/4 inch of hair. But, like, I will say, like, taming the bush that is the armpit hair, it's critical for maintaining stench. Because smells are big. Smells are really fucking big. If you stink... you're a grown ass adult and you don't know you stink. Like, unfuck yourself. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, your parents failed you in your hygiene. See, you got to be smelling good at all times. So,
can't be having that stinky kid, from like Big Daddy. Oh, my kid's the stinky one. He's the one that doesn't shower. He stinks. All right.
And as we're talking about, I just went to my kids' Christmas parties today, and there's that one fucking stinky kid, and like. Then you see their parents, and it makes sense because they stinky as fuck, too.
Dude, this has been something that I've been massively thinking about lately, man. Like, I just had my kid's birthday last weekend, so we always end up going to this town called Frankenmuth, and they have the biggest Christmas store, like, in the state of Michigan there, where it's just massive fucking Christmas store that's been around forever. And I quickly learned that the reason I hate being in crowded places isn't necessarily all the people. It's all the goddamn smells, man. And it's like some people you walk past, it's just like... Can you just make an attempt? Like, you can tell there's no cologne slightly covering it. Like, there ain't nothing there. They're just raw dogging that fucking day, and they're raw dogging everybody's noses around them, man. Like, holy shit.
How many cats do you have, dude?
Bro.
Just give your hoodie a little spritz, like it'll make a difference. You'll have that sweater underneath, but at least people know you're making an effort to cover it up a little bit, like.
It's a thought that counts.
Here's a wild one. Bro, wash your ass.
That too.
And wash your clothes. I know this is like mind-blowing shit to some adults. I don't know who raises these people, but like the very bare minimalist of effort can really make all the difference. I'm just saying.
Oh, dude, it's like I grew up playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, and that was like one of the shit. Like, that was the game back in the day, right? And one of the soundtracks, dude, it's embedded into my mind how many hours I put into playing that game. But there was one song on there. You gotta wash your ass. You gotta brush your teeth, or else you'll be funky. It's like a fucking weird song on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. You're like, what?
One of the best modern memes, the guy turning around and going, "Have you washed your ass today?" So true, though. A lot of people need that daily message.
Bro, you know who else? Water. By the way, anybody listening to this right now, did you drink water today? Did you really? Why don't you go stop what you're doing right now? Go grab some.
Have you drank your water today?
I literally am. So, haha. But
two of us.
People listening, there you go. Apparently, when people don't tell them to take care of themselves, they like just don't. So, hey, to everybody listening, go get some water. Love you. Your body needs hydration. Anyway.
Self-care. We love you, and you love you. You better love yourself.
No doubt.
So,
now, go ahead.
I did want to bring something else up right here. It is pretty wild, bro. But if you remember, I'm going to share the screen here for a second. And it's actually a picture that somebody had made. So, you know what? Let me just share it real quick. And this is actually an Instagram message one of the Good Cult members sent us. But it says, where did they get the hats? Have you seen this? The people up on the ISS, I think it's ISS, but it says these are the quote unquote astronauts that have been stuck in space since June, but somehow they are in such good spirits they decided to take a Christmas selfie. Explain to me where they got the Christmas hats. This was supposed to be an 8-day mission, and they went in June, but they're wearing fucking hats in space.
Another good question. Why doesn't the hair move?
Dude, and there's actually older pictures too. Wow. Let me show you this one. All right.
Those hats are very erect. Mission.
Yeah, well, that's the most recent one. That's what's going on right now. That picture was taken just a couple days ago, I believe. But if you look, the up in the ISS back in 1999, all the Santa Claus hats that they were wearing on the ISS back in 99, they were all hanging down, almost as if gravity has some kind of effect, right? But then you look at the 2023 picture, and all the hats are pointed up. What? Where are they?
So I will say, as far as that picture and how they're all exactly at the same spot on the exact same side and everything, it could make sense to me that they would say, all right, post for the picture, everybody put the hat, and like that would make sense. Like a graduation cap thing. They all have it sitting on that side because they're all college grads. Like, this would make sense to me. However, the bottom picture kind of blows that to shit.
Well, here's another good question that kind of connected in with that bottom picture too. The beard, the woman's hair versus the hats. The beard going down, the hair going out, the hats going up. Why is everything in different directions?
This is bullshit, dude.
If anything, you would assume the hair and the beard would kind of just float outward and not be in any specific direction. It would kind of go out in its own directions. But yeah, everything is clearly distinctly placed and pushed a certain way. So, like, tell me how that makes sense.
Something is going on here, dude. I feel like, NASA, the ISS, full of shit and possibly fake and gay, right?
I still believe in space. That's just me. I know.
I mean, you can believe in space, but clearly this seems to be some kind of deceiving, right?
I could see where you would draw that conclusion from, yes. And I'm not saying I'm bought and sold 100%, but yeah, it's not a good look.
See, I'm going to throw this out there as a possible idea too. So obviously, like, getting into like the lunar landing stuff, I'm not getting too heavy into it. And regardless of how you look at that, I definitely think that there was some fake footage that was filmed regardless of if we made it, because we didn't want Russia to know that we didn't make it. So we had this fake footage that was just going to be used no matter what. Whether or not we saw the real footage or we saw that fake footage is up for debate, but I definitely think that there was something filmed regardless. Same being said for this stuff, man. I think that if there is this space station, as we know that we guess that it exists, that there would definitely be some actual footage coming from there. But on the other side, I definitely think that there's also some additional staged footage that's created so that if stuff doesn't work out properly, they can't make the connections properly, like they don't have the right signal, whatever, they at least have this backup plan. But at the end of the day, man, I still got to say with the space station, I know they have more advanced technology, whatever, but, I live in the middle of a city, and in my house, I have a solid-ass dead zone, but somehow these guys are able to get instant reception out in the middle of fucking space. So, like, that's kind of confusing all on its own. Like, there's no delay, like nothing. And even going back to the shit back with like the original moon lunar landing, supposedly, like that was some fast ass connection, man. Like,
yeah, no, I definitely agree that at least the footage from the first lunar landing is completely made in a Hollywood basement somewhere. No doubts. I'm of the belief we didn't go the first time. I think we've been since. But that's just based off of my own knowledge of what we have as far as technology goes. But I understand for a lot of people out there that believe that the Earth is flat or a double toroid or a matrix or something like that doesn't believe that space is a real thing. I get the standpoint,
I guess my thing is that if you have to go out of your way to literally deceive the world, it wasn't just America that was seeing, that footage back in the 60s of us going up to the moon. I'm sure that was kind of like a worldly event. Everybody was kind of, maybe you might not have been too excited that America was the one to do it, but at least you probably heard about it, or maybe you even saw it on TV, right? And so it's really like a mass deceiving. And my thing is like, there are some people who want to believe no matter what. Like, I want to believe, and they'll all the things that help you see that, like, it's total bullshit and it's an absolute scam. It's like people are just constantly making excuses for it. And I almost look at it like this. It's almost like at a certain point, it's like, I don't know, like I always forget what it's called, but the Beauty and the Beast syndrome.
You're talking about Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome, in a way. I think that it's kind of Stockholm syndrome-y. It's almost like, I don't know, let's say let's say that there's this married couple, right? And they're together. And the wife thinks, oh, my husband will never cheat on me. He'll love me for the rest of my life. And even her best friend's like, I'm telling you, your husband's cheating on you. Like, and she's like, no, that would never happen. He loves me, whatever, right? And then eventually she gets a little bit of proof that her husband has been cheating. Maybe you saw a little footage. Maybe you saw some text messages. Maybe you went back and looked at the phone bill or something like that, right? And the wife would still have some kind of excuse. This is how brainwashing works. But the wife would still have some kind of excuse to say, well, if he did cheat on me, he was probably thinking about me when he was fucking her. And I feel like a lot of the people that believe in the moon landings and believe that we went to, like off of this planet, I just feel kind of like that. Like, I just think, how much fake footage do you need to see in order to see that it's like, there's no way. Like, and I feel like even you, Jacob, like you'll bring up, well, they showed us the fake shit, but they really went. It's like, well, why not show us the real shit now then? Like,
I don't think that we went in the 60s. I don't think that we went in 69 at all. I think we probably made it correctly somewhere in the mid 70s, maybe early 80s. But like the first footage that we saw, I don't know.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. But before we get into this break, if you might be interested in joining a growing community of like-minded individuals, then pop on over to the Open Minds Media Telegram, a place to discuss high strangeness, conspiracies, and anything else on your mind. Bizarre and open-minded individuals always welcome. Link to join available down in the show description. And we are back, so let's get back to it.
I mean, even on the other side of that, once you fake it, people would know that you're lying if you don't continue to go. So there was a point where we were continuing to go. So, I mean, definitely possible that we went on a later mission. I mean, definitely possible. But on the other side, I mean, it's also possible that we never went and that we created all these other fake ones, because once you get caught in a lie, you kind of just have to roll with the lie after a certain point. And I'm only saying that because with modern stuff now, they're talking about going to Mars, but they always make these weird comments like, yeah, we can't go to the moon, but we're developing the technology to go to Mars. So it's like, Why can you go to a place that's 6 months away and not a place that's supposedly 3 days away? Is it because we've never actually been there in the first place and you guys kind of just, oh shit, we did this, everybody thinks we went, let's do like 20 years we kind of go, and then after that, everybody will stop kind of thinking about it. But
I think they had to. They started the lie and then came back with quote unquote samples that later could be verified to be fake. So they had to keep going because they have to come up with something. They can't keep spinning the lie of like, oh, here's the sample we got. Oh, that's petrified wood from Florida. Oh, my bad. Here's this other sample. And it was like, that's petrified wood from here. So they're like, fuck, we really need to get moon rocks. Like, we have to make that happen. I think, though, that when they got there and got those moon rocks and did the scanning of it, all they found was that it's calcium and that there's nothing identifying it to be of any other type of thing other than just that. So they were kind of fucked on that front. Either that, or if we believe that they found the helium-3 molecule on the moon, which some people speculate, then is it possible they found something and they have just lied about whatever the fuck they found up there and have scrubbed the whole project ever since? Because it's kind of like when an oil company, right? When Chevron finds a new well, they did an exploratory dig and they find out that it's big. It's not just a little well that they thought they'd be able to get X amount out of. It's so big that they think Saudi Arabia is about to be a footnote. They're not going to start production on that right now. They're going to cap it. And they're going to pretend like they ain't found shit. And they are going to hold that to be a trade secret until the time comes when people want to act a little stupid. Then they'll blow the lid off of that, tank the markets, and make off like bandits. And that's something that all companies do. They all have this plan. Is it possible that maybe the U.S. government kind of did that with the moon? Or is it all complete bullshit? There's so much.
Well, because I think we were talking about this a couple episodes ago when you had brought up the idea that the moon has like this reflective mirror looking thing on it, and people you can shoot a laser up there.
There's the Bell mission too, where it rang. I mean, kind of continuing on with that too.
Right. Well, there was actually a couple of cult members that reached out and said, well, Jacob, I don't know how you can believe that a laser could reach the moon, because right now it is, well, at least confirmed by them, and I did a little research that may have backed it up or whatever, but they say that the world's most powerful laser can only shoot 25 miles. So I don't know if the moon is 25 miles away, sir.
I wouldn't know off top. We could search that real quick, but it's not a laser you could see with your eyes. It's not like you see a red beam go up in the sky and come back down. It's on a sensor that you're picking it up.
Right, but the laser that you would be shooting at the moon is supposed to be bouncing off the reflective surface that allegedly NASA people put up there so that you could perform said thing. But the idea is that the world's most powerful laser only goes 25 miles. So, I mean, I don't know how far away the moon is.
I could Google that real quick
like
because now I'm curious.
Farther than 25 miles.
Oh, it's what was it? It's like hidden in the Shining, the Stanley Kubrick. Isn't it like 136,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh, yeah, I think it is supposed to, I mean, allegedly 100 and something odd thousand miles.
Cool. 238.9. Let's call it 239,000 miles.
Because I know I've always judged off the distance and stuff with like day, because I know it's like a 3-day trip to get to the moon. And it's supposedly 6 months to get to Mars.
Right. So a laser ain't shining 200 something thousand miles, whatever it is.
I mean, 3 days of traveling at top velocity. I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about.
Well, they've actually, and we're going to try and get this guest on.
Okay. In theory, a powerful enough laser could shine for vast distances, even reaching the moon.
I saw that too, but who's writing that? Is that Google AI that's saying that bullshit?
Well, no, but there's multiple articles that are talking about the experiment that I am literally talking about. So, okay, look, I'm not here to throw shade. People, if y'all don't believe anything that any academic ever says ever, then no matter what they say, you're not going to believe it. So that's fine. And
does it sound realistic though that a laser could shine that far though, Jacob?
Oh, that sounds unrealistic, but somehow grabbing a Nikon camera strong enough and going on California's coast and I shine it hard enough I could see Japan. That's realistic. But shining a laser beam straight up, which is light. We're talking about light. We're not talking about something with an engine, something that gravity has an effect on this level. We're talking straight up. Somehow shining even infrared light, which has less things on it on the spectrum that affect it. Somehow that shining straight up and coming back down is more crazy than the whole fucking, we're going to shine a laser across the desert here to prove how flat the earth is, and we're leveling it perfect and we know it's right. Oh shit, it's not. We'll raise the target a little bit. Raise it more, raise it more, raise it more. Oh shit, we hit it, but it just proved how the curvature of the earth is. But like a Nikon could show you, I've done it. Like that's realistic though.
For all the good cult members out there and everybody.
I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking retarded. I don't know.
I live to ruffle Jacob's feathers. This is like my purpose of this reality. I think just to fuck with you.
No, it's not at you, but there's other people who have like messaged me and said the same thing. And it's like, dude, do the research. If you don't believe the study, then that's fine. Like me and you can fundamentally disagree. And like, that's cool. But if you're also going to start, not you, to those people that are also going to try to throw science at me to confirm pseudoscience, you can't use 1 + 1 = 2 to explain to me what a gerund is in the English language. That's not the same thing, dude. But
I will say, on your defense at least, that it does seem a lot more logically probable to hit something that's a straight target versus something that is on a curvature. And depending on which frequency you use too, because I mean, I think when we're thinking of lasers, we're thinking of like the typical, like, you know, what you play with a cat with, like a fucking laser with like the red light, you know. But if you're hitting a totally different light spectrum that may not even be visible at all to humans, you know, maybe it'll work better. Maybe it's like a tighter waveform. So in turn, maybe it can make that distance. But the thing is, we're trying to judge it off of like visible light, which I think definitely plays its own factor. But if you're using a laser that isn't actually in a visible light spectrum, maybe it's a lot more probable because then you don't have the factor of the light having to bounce back and catch your eyes, which is a whole other wavelength that has to go in a totally different direction for you to even see in the first place.
Damn.
And that's true. I mean, like I said, we're talking about lasers that we're not actually seeing with our eye, right? It's like hearing a frequency that our ears can't hear. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that, yes, I have built this and I have done it. I am not a scientist. I am not a physicist. I don't do that shit. I hit people with axes. That's my jam. But like, I know that there has been multiple people who have done this exact experiment. But again, if the people believe that they are in on the hoax, then like, okay, then it's just going to be what it's going to be.
All right, Jacob. I know we kind of got a little off topic here when we're talking about Christmas stuff, but since we are on the topic of just ruffling Jacob's feathers, this is not by me.
Hey, Santa flies over by the moon at least, so we can still play it in with Christmas. That you know,
go.
the moon is still associated with Santa Claus because you think of the reindeer and the sleigh. So there you go. That's how it connects.
Well, look,
Has Santa been to the moon? That's the question here.
Ooh.
Hey, but look, we got you to take the sunglasses off to have that conversation. I'm kind of hoping that we can get the sunglasses to take off for this video that I'm about to share with you. This was shared with us by a good cult member who specifically wanted you to see this. So
Okay.
here we go.
My name is Russian Kimball. My pronouns are he, him, his. I have the pastor of serving. I have
God.
Broadway United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando, and also my drag name is still a work in progress. Just please let me know.
Burn them.
Floating around, but I'm not going to share that one with you. But I'm still taking other suggestions.
All right.
The fact that
That broke my brain.
Commissioners allowed him. I'm saying him because that dude.
wearing
dude.
mascara. Yeah.
That was a lot of makeup. That was like somebody slapped him in the face with a fucking clown's palette.
Yeah.
And he announced to his congregation his drag name, meaning that you are also a priest and doing drag shows. And that's so the United Methodist Church has been under a lot of fire for
Well, it's a
this
pastor.
type of shit.
Yeah, it's a pastor, not a priest.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I mean, regardless, it kind of goes against a lot of the basis of the religion in the first place. So it's like all these churches I've been driving around seeing lately that have all the like pride flags all over everything, like all that shit. It's like you're going against the fundamentals of like a huge part of your religion in order to try to get more people to come into your religion. But in turn, like if that's one of the things that sends you to hell, then like what are you doing to these people? They're coming to church and they're just going to go to hell anyway. So like what difference does it make?
To
Well,
be
look,
fair, I think this is actually rhyming with this episode because we're covering a lot of the history about, what people traditionally did during Christmas time or the winter solstice, and it all came together, right? And so it could be trying to bring everybody in from every tradition and trying to join together, right? Am I too far off here, Jacob?
No. But actually, I know how we're gonna segue this one. Don't you fret, because boy, the character that I wanted to bring up is they're in the punishment business. Okay, that's their shtick. That's their jam. And by they I mean she. We'll get to the good witch here in a moment. But,
She,
okay.
her, you got to say it properly.
Yeah. So to that Methodist priest, pastor, what the fuck ever, I don't know. Doesn't fucking matter.
It's
The
irrelevant.
Methodist Church has actually allowed this to go down. That wasn't like some crazy person got up there and everybody's like, oh, how are they? No. They blessed that. Like they're cool with that. Okay, so I'm not saying that people that have that type of belief about themselves or that type of orientation or whatever don't belong in the church. I believe, if anything, that's exactly where the fuck they belong. Okay, but that being said, I wouldn't listen to a sermon from this gentleman the same way I wouldn't listen to the sermon of a active heroin addict. I'm going to be straight up with you, and let me explain why. I don't care if you're a heroin addict. You're a grown-up. Do you. But I'm also not going to let's take a religious sting off of it for a second. Would you be taking life advice from somebody who weighs 450 pounds?
Well, I mean, just look at what was it like the Board of Health? The leader of the Board of Health was like super obese and it's almost like those fat gym teachers. It's like, you go fucking run a lab. You know what I mean?
I know that everybody is human. Everybody is a sinner. The pastor / priest / whatever that is up there on Sundays, regardless of what church you're talking about, is a sinner. Every single day, that person sins. That is a fact. Okay. And I am not saying that one sin is greater or lesser than the other. I am Jacob. I am not God. I'm not here to throw that judgment. I have none to give. All I am saying is that if you're going to wear the fucking thing, like you're going to actually wear the robes, you're going to wear the stole, you're going to actually live that life, then fucking live it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The reason why I'm not up on a podium preaching somewhere is because I have no fucking business preaching somewhere, because I like cussing and I like alcohol from time to time. I've quit it, but I like nicotine. I enjoy life in a different way. But there's a reason. You know what I'm saying? To the ones that are choosing the way of the cloth, fucking choose it and be about it. Otherwise, go off somewhere. Like, we don't need you here. If anything, you're causing more harm than good. And this requires punishment, gentlemen. This requires, I think, some righteous retribution. Now, we are humans. Okay, who are we to give such righteous retribution, except for when it comes to pedophiles? I believe we should all get the physical retribution of skull dragging them slowly and painfully to death. But anyway.
They got a special place in hell regardless. You're just sending them early.
No doubt.
I've always just said, dude, use them in target practice. Give them to the military, all the pedophiles.
I like it. I like it a lot. So let me pull up the right one here. You know what? I got 2 articles pulled up here. I will give a little... I'm going to give a little backstory as to why and how I got onto this topic, gentlemen. There's a movie that just recently came out, and I'm not trying to plug it. I know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson... People kind of hate him these days. He's a good actor.
I like him.
But there is a movie that has recently come out called Red One. And it is a Christmas movie. Not going to give away any details. But I will say that it was really well done. Fanfic, if you will. Combining a bunch of different myths and characters that don't traditionally get put on the same stage. Now, the reasons behind this, Krampus was brought up. Grilla was brought up, which is who we're going to be talking about today, Ryley. But we have to keep in mind that these 2 entities weren't actually connected by any way. Okay, Krampus is a German thing. Grilla is a Icelandic thing. Okay, however, people may have been saying these same names around the same centuries. Okay, very far removed by a lot of distance, but both of these entities around the Yule tide, the winter solstice, and all this, the Germans and the Icelandics not only had their festival, you know, the gift giving and the jolly and the merriment and all that, but they also took a different approach in more of a fear-based holiday. Not to the realm of Halloween, but more like, if you're good, you get treats. If you're bad, you either get snatched up in the night and you never get seen again, or you get the shit beat out of you and your parents stand there and do nothing about it. And like, this was what kept German and Icelandic children good. Apparently. It's wild things, but it worked.
I mean, it seems to work a lot for a lot of German stuff, because most of their stories, most of their folklore is be good or we'll beat the shit out of you, or something's going to come and beat the shit out of you. Like,
It'd be like that.
What's the Louisiana cryptid, right? What was
the Rougarou.
The Rougarou, there's a myth to keep children in line for that one too, right?
Yeah, if you cheat on Lent, then you had a chance of getting stalked by it and shit. Yes, indeed. And if you got bit by it, or actually if you saw it, you don't even have to get bit by it. If you see it, then it can affect you, and then you're a Rougarou for 101 days, regardless if it's daytime, nighttime, or whatever. It's a whole fucking thing.
hey, I'll be a Rougarou for 100 days. That sounds like it'd be a pretty cool, interesting perspective if you go back to normal after that 100 days. I mean, why not?
I don't know. Apparently, it's more like demonic voodoo shit. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and share the screen at this time.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break. And we are back to the show. So let's hop right in.
And all right, so it says, I clicked it. It's a Smithsonian magazine, and it's long, and I don't want to read it all. But I did think the title was catchy, a little eye-grabbing. Why Iceland's Christmas Witch is much cooler and scarier than Krampus. With roots dating back to the 13th century, Grilla is not to be messed with. Now, this was written in 2017, but
that's
so yeah,
punny. That's real punny.
That's punny as fuck, right? But yeah, so that's the paper mache thing, and somebody's walking around in it, and it's like still a thing they do these days. Not as big, I would think, than the Krampus parade that goes down in Germany, but it's still pretty big in that area. Says, while Krampus might be king of the holiday scares, his fans may be overlooking an equally nasty, much more formidable queen, a Christmas monster who lives further north in the frigid climes of Iceland, who goes by the name of Ryley, the Christmas witch. This tough ogress lives in a cave in Iceland's hinterlands, the matriarch of a family of strange creatures, launching attacks on nearby townships, snatching up misbehaving children and turning them into delicious stew. Now, that's also kind of interesting too, and I know they're going to get into her orphan children. She has 13 sons that are orphans that she found, and depending on which legend you go off of here, either these were babies that were left on the mountain by parents, and she found them and adopted them, and or these are children that she snatched that she thought maybe might be worth saving. But yes, it was kind of understood that they would definitely eat them. Anyway, tales of the ogress began as oral accounts, with the earliest written references found in the 13th century. In historic sagas and poems throughout the region, one reads, "Here comes Ryley down in the field with 15 tails on her," while another describes, "Down comes Ryley from the outer fields with 40 tails, a bag on her back, a sword, a knife in her hand, coming to carve out the stomachs of children who cry for meat during Lent." So we can clearly see that there's a bit of a little bit of a Catholic vibe on that second one for sure.
Just out of curiosity in this article, did they bring up the Yule Cat? Because if not, I can bring that one up at the end, because that's one that was linked into the Yule lads also.
The Yule Cat.
The Yule Cat.
The Yule Cat and the Yule lads, which if I'm not mistaken are her orphans.
Well, what's interesting is that this is speaking of a witch that sounds very similar to some people know this witch as Baba Yaga.
Yep.
And we actually just did a show, or our boy over at the Strange Brew just did a show released on the Cult of Conspiracy. I think it was last week on Baba Yaga. Other people may know her as the Gingerbread Hag, but most people just call her the witch from Hansel and Gretel. Doesn't it kind of sound like this, dude?
Definitely.
Old hag, kind of luring in kids.
She got the face too. She got the warty looking face, at least from that depiction that it was shown with that paper mache one.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she looked like a fucking witch, dude. Definitely scary.
So we could have read a little bit more of the Smithsonian article, and we can go back to it if you want. But honestly, I thought this was kind of funny. So this is monsterwiki.com. I thought this was just a cool little episode, or cool little website, excuse me. And so I wanted to learn about Ryley. So here it is. She is an evil ogress witch in Icelandic folklore. Description: she's larger than a human being. I'm hearing reports of somewhere between 18 and 80 foot tall, by the way, gentlemen. Ryley is a repulsive troll-like witch. She has hooves and between 13 and 15 tails. Various accounts of her appearance also include crooked nails, eyes in the back of her head, or ears that droop below her ears. Yeah. She used her powers to detect disobedient children, which makes her a perfect boogeyman to inspire good behavior. She lives in a cave under the
Demiborgir. There's a band called that. That's the only reason I knew that. That popped right into my head when I looked at it. Demiborgir.
Good shit.
I'm assuming they're a metal band.
Yes, they're definitely a metal band.
Now, as a metalhead, I have to, by law, go check them out. That's too ridiculous of a name for them not to slap. Anyway, periodically during Christmas, she leaves her cave and visits nearby towns where she snatches children to a sack. Back in her cave, she boils the children alive in a cauldron.
Bro, that's full-on Hansel and Gretel shit.
Yep.
Hansel and Gretel, if I'm not mistaken, was a Germanic folklore tale or wives' tale or something, right? So is it crazy that these Northern European countries kind of have these stories that sound alike, different name, maybe do it different times, but same vibe?
I mean, Brothers Grimm for Hansel and Gretel. So, I mean, they were obviously just taking stories and kind of compiling it and making their variation of the story. So, I mean, the only reason it's associated with the Germans is because of the Brothers Grimm, but they openly got their stories from folklore in the area. So there you go.
They were just writing down the stories that were being told. But who knows where that kernel of truth of that story came from originally, right? So, history here. Earliest written mentions of Grilla are from the 13th century Norse mythology, which makes Grilla a Jotun giant. A Jotun giant. Cool. In such sagas, there is no connection between to Christmas time. She ate humans, and she also had powers to incite terror. Her powers were strongest in the winter, and in a way, she was the personification of winter and darkness. It wasn't until later in the early 19th century when Grilla was associated with Christmas, and her family structure became unified. Grilla has been married 3 times and has 72 offspring in total.
She got busy.
God.
Yeah, dude. She got all them tails, dude.
Them fucking mountain trolls, man. Letting out litters.
They're all pranksters of various levels of severity. Some are drawn to murder, while others may suffice practical jokes that go too far. Jesus. Okay. I didn't know any of these things about her. I thought she was like a hag that lived in the mountains alone, and that's why she had the orphan children, because she didn't have a husband. But okay. One of Grilla's husbands died of old age, and another was killed by her because she found him boring. Fuck yeah. Can't have all that. Her current husband is called Lepalatui. Sure. Who is not... Huh?
Lepaluthi, it looks like.
Lapaluthi.
Lapaluthi?
Lapaluthi. Yeah, we'll take it. Who is not prominent in the legend, as he is rather lazy and prefers to stay in their home cave. Sometimes he helps Gryla to toss children into a sack. The two have 13 children called Yulemen, who are mischievous gnome-like creatures who spread mayhem during Christmas time. The family also has a pet named who is a monstrous cat.
The Yule
who
cat
eats lazy people.
Well, there's another expansion that goes into the Yule Cat. So the Yule lads, each of them supposedly come and they basically will interact with a specific thing.
Yeah.
Like if you do something bad, each specific Yule lad has like a thing that they look for. And I know the Yule Cat, the one that's connected with that, is that they say that you have to have fresh new clothes, because the Yule Cat, if it finds pieces of like fabric or yarn that are starting to come undone, then it will come after you and attack you for not having new clothes. That was the whole thing with the Yule Cat.
So you gotta get new clothes for Christmas. Look at this shit.
Yep, you gotta have new clothes to keep yourself warm. You can't have the because I think it was intended to scare kids away from wearing their like frayed, non-warm clothes. You scare the kids into wanting to wear their coat, which seems to be a common thing now, because I'm sure with you guys being parents too, how hard is it to get a damn kid to put a coat on? But if you tell them that if they wear that ripped up coat or they don't wear the proper clothes, this cat's gonna come and it's gonna ball you around and mess with you and basically act like you're a giant bundle of string. I mean, that's one way of doing it.
Hey, dude. You got to have the stories that scare the shit out of children. I mean, that's how we keep them in order, you know?
It's weird, bro. I mean, this whole region of the world has such fascinating culture and such fascinating stories as to the hows and the whys that they have done the things that they've done. But so, all right, and we could stick on. Do y'all want to stick on these more of the fear-based themes for a while? Because the next one's more of the jolly and happy side of things, just from a different area than what we're usually used to talking about, to be honest.
I mean, let's get jolly. It is Christmas time.
I mean, unless you can find something with the Yule lads where it has the list of what they go after, that might be a cool one to throw in. But otherwise, yeah, let's get some jolly stuff going.
I sure could Google search that, to be honest with you. But okay, so this is the Russian Christmas tradition. So this dude here, whose name is Dead Moroz, whatever, and his
Dead Moroz.
Yeah, and the Snegger Kokla, who is his maiden, is his snow queen, if you will. And these are the more family-friendly pictures of them that I found. A lot of them are very, very, very adult-themed. It is Russia, after all. But yeah, their whole story, apparently this is like, depending on which thread you read, this girl is either Santa's granddaughter or his wife.
Hopefully
or
wife.
His mistress.
If they get sexual. Hopefully not his daughter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Depends on the version that you're reading, right? It's kind of like the version of Santa Claus. Are we talking the one that had a pipe? Because all the old stories we had said Santa Claus was smoking a pipe the entire time he was on his midnight ride. somehow he's tobacco free these days. It's like little nuanced things that kind of get lost in the mix. Then 50 years later, what are we even talking about anymore? What do you mean? So with this, it's like, okay, was this supposed to be Russia's version of Mrs. Claus? There is that story, that character arc. Was this supposed to be like his granddaughter who assists him because he's in his, old age? And it's called Father Frost, by the way, is his name. Father Frost and the Snow Maiden. And so there's like, is it possible this is like they're the tandem team to make it happen? Is it more scandalous than that? And look, there's tons of stories.
Santa's got to stay warm on those cold nights, man. That body heat, that's the only way of doing it.
I don't personally know how a skinny white woman's supposed to keep you warm on those cold nights, but that's just me. That's just Jake. I don't know.
Hey, you got another naked body to rub up against. That'll keep anybody warm.
And those Russian girls, man, they're a whole other level. You see those Russian girls where they're in those Siberian type climates and those girls are wearing shorts and they're wearing fishnets, man. Those Russian girls, man, I feel like they radiate heat.
I'll say this as far as the Russians, bro. They only run in two styles. It's either like fine as hell or beat to shit. You notice that?
It's either the men or the women, though, because it seems like the women are always this like fair, round face, like super cute looking girls. And then the guys are just like, oh, I will fucking destroy you.
No, but the women, they either look like they should be in a magazine somewhere or they look like somebody's babushka. Like, there's only the two versions. It's like, what am I? You got going down this list.
It's the model and the hag.
It's like gingers. You only see like dimes or penny gingers. You never see a 5 ginger. I don't think they exist.
Hey, man, you either got the pinup or you got the mother. That's the way I'm kind of seeing it.
It'd be like that.
And everybody has their taste. Either you want the wide birth and hips or you want the skinny girl you can throw around. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
Well, we don't know the history of the mother. Maybe she used to be a pinup, but she had a couple of kids. She got a little bit more relaxed. She stopped caring so much about her beauty supplies. And she said, you know what? Who am I trying to impress? I'm married and I got to put up with all these goddamn kids.
I mean, I feel that. You know me. I'm not into the whole model thing anyway. I like a woman that's a woman. If I was into college chicks, I would have tried to stay 20 my whole life. I'm not. That's not really appealing to me.
Man, imagine how fast you'd age with Russian kids, though. Because, I mean, you see all the crazy shit they're doing in Russia. They're fucking fighting bears. They're doing all this crazy shit, man. If you had, like, 3 kids and they were just straight up Russian guys doing crazy Russian shit, can you imagine how fast you'd age over the worrying of those kids? Like, in America, you have your kid go out and you're worried about him not coming home on time. In Russia, you're worried about your kid getting into a fight with a bear and possibly losing. But more often than not, it seems like they win those fights.
I mean, maybe yes, maybe no, but the Russians are built different, dude. Isn't it like a third of their country doesn't even have indoor plumbing? So, I mean, like, they just built different. They're built harder. I
mean, look at them in any cold condition, man. I mean, even military standpoint, like everybody knows you can't fuck with Russia in winter conditions. Like,
well, except for possibly Ukraine, but they're also of that cold natured type of white people. That's different.
Hey, you got to fight fire with fire, or in this case, snow with snow.
Snow with snow, bro. 100%.
So I found you were trying to bring up the 13 Yule lads.
Yeah.
Yes.
I found it.
You found the list?
I did. All right.
Go.
So this is by, I think it's a guide to Iceland.is.
I love the rendition of her in this one, of Grella in this one. This is probably the scariest picture yet.
Dude,
Yeah,
the fucking
looks
ogre.
demonic.
Look at her.
It's looking like a biblical demon, man. Looks like something you'd find in like the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Honestly, yeah, that's what's coming out, dude, for sure. But it says, who are the Icelandic Yule lads? Who is celebrated in Iceland at Christmas, if not Santa Claus? What role does the giantess Grilla play a Icelandic Christmas folklore, and who is the Christmas cat? Here we go. All right, it says, Christmas in Iceland is a time for bright lights, festivities, delicious food, and fear. Perhaps fear may be a bit of an exaggeration, but Iceland has some very unique Christmas folklore that has been with the locals for centuries. Instead of the loving Santa Claus many Western cultures are familiar with, the 13 Yule lads of Iceland are known for their mischief. Their mother, Grilla, is it Grilla or Gryla? How do you say that?
Probably both ways, depending on who you're asking.
Gryla, okay. Their mother, Ryley, is a monstrous ogre that kidnaps and eats naughty children. And if you don't get a new piece of clothing before the holidays, you can expect a visit from the Yule cat, who shares her appetite. And here we go. So, do you want to know about the Icelandic Yule lads, Jacob?
I do. And also, I think it might be Grilla. Now I think about that, why it might be an E noise. I don't fucking know.
Grilla, Gryla, Grilla. You know who we're talking about. Anyway, it says throughout the majority of the year, the 13 Santas of Iceland are thought by many to hide in the lava formations at, how'd you say that again, Shane?
Demiborgir.
Demiborgir. All right. Located in the Mavaten area of North Iceland. Others believe they simply live in an unidentified mountainous area. From the 11th of December to the 24th, however, they depart one by one to engage in 13 days of mischief. Each has different antics, ranging from mischievous to horrifying, which they indulge in across the country until the end of Christmas season. The 13 Yule lads are as much of a part of the country's festive tradition as the Icelandic Christmas book flood and eating smoked lamb. Today, their image has largely been sanitized. Rather than being depicted as trolls defined by misdeeds, they now often wear traditional red and white clothes, fluffy beards, and wide smiles. Rather than pulling pranks, they simply leave presents in the shoes that children place on their windowsills, and a bit like the stockings on fireplaces in other cultures. In place of a piece of coal, naughty Icelandic children will simply find a potato in their shoe in the morning. Okay. I guess I would probably rather a piece of potato anyway, rather than coal. What am I going to do with coal?
Yeah, you can at least reuse the potato. I mean, that's food for at least the day. I mean,
Yeah. But I mean, in Iceland, it's cold as fuck, isn't it? No, wait, Iceland's nice. Greenland's a place that's cold as fuck. Yeah, the cold would not help you. Never mind.
Even though they've undergone somewhat of a transformation since the 19th century, the Yule lads' original looks and behavior tell a wealth of information about Icelandic history, culture, folklore, and they are a great example of how festive traditions differ around the world. So, the 13 Icelandic Yule lads.
Hold on tight, everyone. Inquiries of Our Reality will be right back after this brief commercial break. And now back to the show.
Okay, so you have some wild names here. Stekkjastur, which is the sheepcoat clod. Let's get into him. The first of the Yule lads to leave the mountains to stir up trouble across Iceland was Stekkjastur, or sheepcoat clod. From the 12th of December until the 26th, his modus operandi was to harass the sheep of any household he came across. Icelanders would usually keep their sheep underground in the winter months, so when the sounds of their tormented bleating would echo up into the house, it was a sign Stekkjastur had found them. Such a sound, though common in the winter months with storms regularly harassing the flock, became even more ominous, particularly considering that sheep were the lifeblood of every farmstead. In spite of being a fearsome troll, he, like many of his brothers, was limited by a deformity. His stiff legs impaired his ability to move, so the best thing to do when hearing him rile up your animals was to wait it out. He'd have to move on to your neighbor soon enough in order to terrorize as many Icelandic homes as possible by sunrise. Whoa.
so basically, keep your sheep safe. That's the moral of that story.
Your sheep are not safe with Stekkjastur. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong.
Hide your kids, hide your wives, because Stekkjastur surrounds.
Good God, hide them sheeps, man.
Nextly of the Yule lads is Gilgawar.
Giljuar. That's how I'd
And
say
then next to
pronounce
it says Gullygawk.
Gullygawk.
And it has a picture for those just listening of a man sucking on the teat of a cow.
Very Tom Green style.
Straight up laid up underneath the udder, just getting after it, straight from the tap.
That's how you do it, man. Talk about some raw milk. Getting raw with that raw milk.
I mean, you're getting all the dirt and the shit in there too, but I mean, yeah, all right.
Hey, if you clean the teat first, then you're getting it straight out of the cow where there's no contaminants, right?
It's right off the tap.
I guess, yeah.
You just got to remove the scabs and whatnot.
Just make sure you clean the teat first.
Right.
So
Sure.
Gilgajor, or Gully Gawk, was the second Icelandic Yule lad to arrive in human settlements. Hiding in the gullies around the house, waiting until its residents has fallen asleep, his method of troublemaking was to break into the cowshed to steal any milk available. In doing so, he robbed families of the key ingredient in the sauces meant to be enjoyed over the festive season, not to mention the traditional skyr. Skyr? Although only wealthier Icelanders owned cows, most poorer people historically lived on the farmsteads of the rich, meaning all were affected by this troll's antics.
Mm-hmm. Just to throw this in, too, since we were talking about old grim folklore, tell me this isn't really reminiscent of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I know there's more of them, but like especially the next one, Stubby? I mean...
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Look at this shit.
So Stuffor, or Stubby, it says the third Yule lad, Stubby, became a nuisance throughout Iceland at Christmas by stealing the household pans for the delicious crust that remained on them. From the 14th to the 26th of December, his appetite was insatiable. While this may not seem like a terrible crime historically, pots and pans were incredibly valuable in Iceland. The country had no iron reserves or a mining industry of its own, and such goods had to be imported and were very expensive. For some impoverished families, they were the only possessions worth anything that they had.
Damn.
Protect your pots and eat your crumbs.
It's old Stubby, dude. Just trying to get the crust.
Not only are they going to come after your sheep, not only are they going to milk your cow dry, then they're going to steal your pots and pans.
They're going to suck your cow dry.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude. Well, then you got the old spoon liquor.
Goddamn spoon liquor.
As
Not only are you taking the bowl, you're going to take the spoon I mix it with, dude.
Which is funny because his name looks like Thavorius Liquor.
Because he licks vigorously.
That's ridiculous.
So, Thavorius Liquor, the fourth Yule lad, is known in English as Spoon Liquor. This Christmas troll set out on his nationwide tour of mischief on the 15th of December each year to break into the homes of Icelanders and lick the spoons of households in the hope of a morsel to eat. Thorslicker's behavior was a result of his strange deformity. He was grotesquely thin from malnutrition, unusual amongst trolls who were most often depicted as overweight and muscular beasts. The lesson to be learned from Spoon Licker's behavior is less apparent than with many of the other Yule lads, although it was perhaps as simple as ensuring children cleaned their cutlery.
Okay.
Like I said, don't leave a scrap of food, especially during the winter. Every single piece or scrap counts to trying to get some weight and make sure that you maintain through the winter. So at least the last two, man, I take them as they're trying to tell the kids to make sure they eat every single scrap of food and do not waste one bit of food.
Okay. And into the next one as well. I think actually it looks like the next two are kind of in the same vibe.
Yeah, the next two, well, you have Pot Scraper and Bowl Liquor, but we'll talk about Pot Scraper, or as he's traditionally known as, Potaskefil. Or the pot scraper. It says Potaskefil, known in English as a pot scraper, is like many of his brothers in that his Christmas hijinks are gluttonous. Breaking into one home after another, he seeks out pots of sauce, chunks of roast meat left on the tray, saucepans of seasonal vegetables, and scours off anything left over to eat. Potskefil was no doubt created to encourage children to finish their meals. Leftovers may bring him sniffing at the door, as food snuffs were meant to be preserved to last throughout the long winter months. Any waste was greatly frowned upon. This was because no one dared a fishing trip onto the tumultuous seas in this season, or wanted to slaughter an animal that could otherwise help them sustain their livelihoods in the summer.
I mean, that's true. That's fair.
Okay. Then you got Bowl Liquor, or
I wonder what he does.
Right.
Ask a Slaker.
Ass liquor.
Ass liquor, it looks like. Yeah.
All up in that bowl.
So you got Gully Gawk is out stealing milk. Stubby is munching on the crust of pans. Pot Scraper is scoffing down leftovers. And Skinny Spoon Liquor is doing exactly what his name should suggest. Also on the hunt for an easy morsel was the sixth brother, Ass Liquor, possibly. Although his antics were perhaps the creepiest thus far. Askalixker. His name
Can't say it any other way than ass liquor now.
It's gotta be Ass Liquor, yeah. Ass Liquor.
I mean, a man eats ass. I mean, who doesn't? You know what I'm saying?
Well, in English, it translates to bowl liquor. So,
Yeah.
In a way, it's still, I mean, you're still licking a bowl in a weird way.
I suppose anything if you're brave enough. Anyway,
You got to lick that brownie batter, man.
Gotta.
I mean, this is old school groceries right here, baby.
That's right.
So, it says he has a reputation for slurping the remains of whatever is left in the bowl, or rather of an asker, which is an Icelandic type of carved bowl with a lid. But the way he does it is so rather nightmarish. Each night, ass licker would quite literally but lay beneath a child's bed, waiting for them to finish their nighttime soup or pudding. When they are satisfied, he will readily snatch up the remaining food to guzzle down himself. Perhaps created to get children to go to sleep when asked, or not to indulge in a midnight snack, he epitomizes the trope of the monster under the bed.
That's fucking weird.
Slurps it down. That's what's weird.
So you're telling me I got me a little midnight snack, a little half pint of ice cream, and you know what? I say, fuck it. I don't even want to go to the freezer. There's only like one little bite in here. It's whatever. Fuck it. Okay. You telling me that some old hairy dude's gonna come out from under my bed and then loudly slurp that bitch down while I'm trying to get some sleep? Bro, that would fuck me up.
He's working on his tongue technique, man.
Like, yo, could you imagine hearing that in the middle of the night? You're trying to, like, you're going right into that sleep. You're in that sleep state, and all of a sudden you hear that shit.
Sounds like the parents trying to cover something else up. The kid's like, what's that sound? They're like, it's the ass licker.
He's under your bed. He's not in my room.
It's the what? The ass obviously, is what I said. Yeah.
You couldn't hear me correctly.
Go back to sleep.
So we don't have to read all these, but I'll name I'll name the rest of them though. So you have Herdaskeller, or the door slammer.
Dude looks like a macho Santa fucking coming through the damn door like Superman.
Bro, I want to know what bills he pays in that house to be slamming a door like that. I'm just saying.
I'm assuming that the moral of that story is to make sure the damn door is closed because the cold will get into the house.
I like it.
It sounds like it. Then you got the Skiergamur, or the Skier Gobbler. His name is not so obvious, so let's see what his says. It says the meals leading up to Christmas are without a doubt some of the best of the year. One can indulge in perfectly cooked poultry, nut roast, mince pies, gingerbread men, cinnamon rolls, and all manner of the other treats. This season in Iceland, however, one dish deserves an extra special mention: the delicious and creamy skyr. This healthy, tasty, traditional dairy product can be fairly described as one of Iceland's true delicacies, especially when compared to dishes such as hakkarl, or fermented shark. Oh,
Okay.
and you can have Hertzsprung, which are ram's testicles.
Yeah. So I one time wanted to try that fermented shark. I watched a couple of documentaries about it, and it's really crazy, the process to it, and it really has been done this way for centuries and the whole nine. But it's like, yep, it tastes just like ammonia. And it's like, bro, what? Like that, you're like super pumped to taste a bite of meat that tastes like really strong ammonia. And then they'll take a shot of schnapps, and they'll dip the meat in that and then eat it. And they go fucking ham for it. And then the like American that was there for the documentary was like, this kind of sucks. Like, yo, it's
Mean
weird. They got different palates.
You mean vinegar?
No,
Actual
Schnapps.
ammonia.
like it smells and tastes like ammonia.
Is that what that like fish stuff is like from Sweden too? Because I know they have a delicacy that's like fermented fish, and I assume it's probably along the same lines, right?
I would think. I know the fermented shark was like a specific one because yeah. It's ridiculous. I knew that one because, like, you're going to hear that one and think, okay, who the fuck is fermenting shark bites? But they do fermented fish all over the place. Hell, pickled herring is said to produce males. If you're trying to have a son, they say to eat pickled herring, which I'm not going to lie. I found some and I tried it. It's not bad. It kind of reminded me of sardines, going to be honest.
Did it work though? That's what the answer that everybody wants to know.
So I'll be real with you, dude. I'm 3 for 3. I was shooting for a boy and I got a boy. I was shooting for a girl and I got a girl. And then the last one, actually, I'll be honest, that was kind of in God's hands. But the 2 of the 4 methods that I usually use to ensure my results, I did half of them. So that's why I'm giving it 50-50. But my firstborn, my son, there was only 3 of the 4. One of them, pickled herring, I didn't do. Only reason, I don't know where to find it. I didn't at the time. Didn't know World Market sells it in a can like sardines. That was a nice little thing to find out. But yeah, so the other methods work though. 100%.
Hey, better than the stand up or sit down. If you do it one way, standing up, or if you do it vertically sitting down, it might work. I mean, I think it's all just a matter of placebo.
Down though, bro.
That is true.
Mine.
I mean, dude, I get down with all the fermented shit, bro. Like kombucha, I can drink that all day, dude.
Hard kombucha too. If you've ever had that, whole other level, dude. That shit is like 9%. It's kind of tastes like a sour. Fantastic, man.
Well, most kombuchas like naturally already have like a little percentage of alcohol in them because
it's like less than 1%. It's like 0.05%. But if they like hard ferment it usually hits like 9%.
Damn, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I don't know if you guys have them in your state, but there's a place called Jungle Gyms. It's these like massive fucking grocery stores that are near like Ohio where they have this mix of a bunch of different like ethnic foods and like every aisle is like a different country. But they literally have like a straight up like hard kombucha bar that you can walk to in this place and you can get samples and stuff. And they have like 10 different flavors. I think when I went, they even had like additional seasonal flavors. So maybe like 12 flavors all on tap of like hard kombucha. So if you find a place like that, highly recommend it, man.
Let's go, dude. I'll drink that all day.
That would be a fun thing to do. Dude, how hard would it be to make a hard kombucha like spot?
I mean, you can make kvass. That's even easier because then you don't need the SCOBY because you need the like living bacteria. But if you make kvass, that's even easier. It's basically just fermenting fruit and creating bubbles within it, and then it ends up carbonating itself too. And if you ferment it longer, then it starts turning into alcohol. But like the whole thing with like kvass, with like Russian kvass and shit, is they would do it with rye bread. And yeah, that shit would ferment and get real strong.
I'm glad you broke down what that is because I had never heard of any of those words you just said.
Well, the SCOBY is like the gelatinous film that is created whenever you're trying to ferment the sugary tea or whatever, and it like comes up to at the top, and you can keep on reusing that. And that SCOBY, like a lot of people, dude, you can like people will buy those off of you.
Yeah, it's a living bacteria.
Right. And that's what, that's why that's like real good to drink because it's good for your gut health and stuff like that.
Little fun fact about kombucha.
Is good to drink?
No, you take the SCOBY out, yeah. Because little fun fact about kombucha too, if you can find a place that does raw kombucha versus like the shit you buy at grocery stores. So like the process for kombucha, like they can sell it in grocery stores if they basically make it with the black tea and the sugar, and then the SCOBY starts eating that stuff up, and then it creates like the probiotics that are inside of it. And then they have to add cold pressed juice after, and that's how you sell it in stores. If you buy it raw, when they actually do it with the tea and the sugar, they add the fruit in then, and it's a totally different flavor. Like usually you can only buy the raw stuff locally because they can't sell it mass produced in grocery stores, but just another level of kombucha. If you can find the raw stuff with the fermented fruit in it, holy shit, it is a whole other level. Like the cold pressed stuff like doesn't even taste good compared to like the fermented stuff.
Yeah, the real shit that is sold by just like somebody in their house or whatever, that's actually my sister or my brother-in-law actually hooked us up with a neighbor that was actually living like right down the road from me whenever I was living in Louisiana, and she was making that kombucha where like herself, and she would always sell it in the glass bottles and everything, and it was like the real kombucha, but then you can get in all the different flavors, and all the fruit would already be in the jar, so you get it like if you wanted blackberry kombucha or blueberry or strawberry or mango, which was the fucking best one in my opinion. Dude, kombucha is the shit, but I get why people don't like it. It's definitely something that is an acquired taste.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely an acquired taste. It's the fermented thing.
I don't know if it's an acquired taste or if it's one that you just like. You got the palate for it. You know what I mean? Like scotch. That's one of those things where either you taste it and you're like, this is amazing, or you taste it and it's like, ugh. I think kombucha's like that,
That is true, because the first time I had it, I didn't have that like beer. Perfect example. When you first start drinking beer as a teenager or whatever, you're kind of like, but you kind of stomach it down, and then you start developing the taste for it, and then you honestly enjoy it. But kombucha, the first time I had it, it was like, God damn, this is delicious. But one thing that I have noticed that I have to admit, though, is if you try it and you're not like a beer drinker or some type of alcohol drinker, you're going to be grossed the fuck out by it. But if you already have that acquired taste for beer, which maybe it is an acquired taste if reviewing it from that aspect, then you hop right into kombucha and you love it. You'd have to trial this, man. You'd have to see if you can take somebody that's never drank beer and just throw them into kombucha and see if they think it's disgusting and if they have to like build up a profile for it.
I tell them just try flavored vinegar. And like, if you like it, kombucha's probably gonna fucking slap for you, you know?
That is true.
I mean, it's really good for you, which is initially why I started drinking it in the first
facts.
place, because I've always had like terrible like stomach problems and everything. So all the probiotics I can get and from a delicious drink, give it to me.
Oh yeah, for you, that shit's a godsend, dude. I can only imagine.
You and me both, man. I had ulcers and stuff when I was a teenager, and my stomach health got significantly better when I started drinking that shit. And just to expand onto it, man, a lot of people have this bad connotation with pickle juice. You know, you buy Vlasic, all that shit. That's all fake. That's not real brine. That's some nasty shit. But if you buy some like homemade, like authentic pickles and you drink that brine water, it is just as fucking good as kombucha. Like every time I tell people I drink pickle juice, they think it's disgusting. Because again, they have that idea of Vlasic, like the green, nasty shit. But if you drink straight brine water, dude, that stuff is so good for your stomach too.
Bro, anybody
Yeah,
has an
try
issue
that.
with drinking the Vlasic juice has never worked outside and sweated to the point of getting cramps. That green juice is a lifesaver. And I'm with you, though. It's not real vinegar. It's not true brine. It's vinegar by definition, and it's flavored and it's colored, but like, no, you're 100% correct. You get you like a local pickle maker, you go to a farmer's market or whatever, dude, 100%.
Just to throw in an additional cooking tip for during the summer, this is something I've been doing for a while. When I make hamburgers during the summer, I'll take some of that good pickle brine and I'll mix it in with the hamburgers, right? And then it'll kind of cook out a little bit. So what I do is I'll toast the buns and you just drizzle a little bit of brine water onto the buns. And then you toast them a little bit more. Holy crap, dude. That takes your food to a whole new level.
Pro tip, brine your chicken
Ooh.
in pickle juice for 24 hours before you fry it. That makes it taste like Chick-fil-A.
Ooh, there you go. I haven't tried that one yet, man. I always got to try these pickle recipes, man. I have like a hardcore fascination with pickle flavoring, especially spicy pickles, man. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's just like having that taste for fermented stuff. But every time I see an opportunity to throw some pickle juice or some pickles into a recipe, I'm all about that shit, man.
I will say, don't
you're
forget the
definitely getting-
chickens there. I did it for 3 days and the entire chicken breast was green. I ate it and it was a super pickled chicken, but like not what I was intending by any means.
Shane, you get down with some sauerkraut too then, huh?
Oh, definitely, man. I've made my own sauerkraut more times than I can count. And the longer you let that stuff sit, the better it ends up tasting.
You're
don't
from
think
Michigan, so I'm assuming you get down with like different types of. I bet you like fuck up some kielbasa.
Oh, dude.
I don't know.
Brats.
I can get down for any of the specialty brats, man. Like when I find those places that'll have like all these like weird ass varieties of hot dogs, man, I'm all about it, man. And
that.
believe it or not, being a Michigander and being a big fan of like all the specialty hot dogs, Michigan has the worst hot dog. Our fucking hot dog is chili, mustard, and onion. It's like out of any combination you could do, man, like it needs something extra. Like I've never been a fan of just the Michigan fucking coney dog.
I didn't know that was the Michigan Coney. I didn't know there was such a thing as the Michigan Coney. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because we got Coney Island in Michigan, and I always talk to people from other states, and they're just like, what? Because you think of Coney Island, you think of New York, but in Michigan, we have these diners that are like at every single fucking corner, and there's Leo's Coney Island, there's Nico's Coney Island, there's blah, blah, blah's Coney Island, and all the Coney Islands are basically just like the family diners in Michigan, but all of them have the Coney dog, which is chili, onion, mustard.
Wow.
Need some cheese. Like, I always add some cheese to it, and then it hits a good spot. But, like, just the three together, man, it just tastes like it needs something, man.
Hold on tight, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And now back to the show.
Dude, back in Pennsylvania, we have the hot dog shop, and that place is the truth, bro. I mean, it's not like any wild ingredients that you're putting on there, but usually you just make a chili cheese dog and some chili cheese fries. You're walking out of there. I mean, you're rolling out of there is probably what you're doing because you're eating like 5 or 6 of them babies because it's pretty cheap, or at least it was whenever we were younger. But anyway, all right, let's get back to these lads here.
Got me
Never
distracted
thought
by
about
glizzies.
sausages. The next guy is the sausage snatcher.
It works. It works.
Oh my god.
Bugnakurirker, or the sausage snatcher.
Yeah.
Smoking meat is one of the just had to.
I mean, look, the segues make themselves, gents. This is just how it works.
Totally unpurposeful at all. I don't know how we got into the hot dog conversation or how it fell into this, but like,
Yeah, look, this is your boy. This is God. This is your boy Jesus.
So the sausage snatcher, it says smoking meat is one of the favorite cooking methods in Iceland. Smoked fish and lamb are popular throughout the year, as well as smoked sausages, known in Iceland as juga or bajuga.
Okay.
Bayuga?
Probably silent.
Yeah, I think the J is a Y. So Bayuga?
Yeah, Buga.
Buga? Yeah.
It says from the night of the 20th, however, vigilance was required when preparing the buga. It was the only piece of food that in the 9th Yule lad, the sausage snatcher wanted to get his grubby hands on. He had a perfect way of stealing this Icelandic delicacy. It was said that he would break into homes and hide it into the rafters, waiting for dinner to be cooked before swooping from above to snatch them. The sausage snatcher.
Look at the dude. He has a whole grin going on. He's happy as fuck to stay.
He's got the creepiest face out of all of them. Easily, man.
Saying.
Protect your damn sausage, man.
At all times.
Well, then you have glug, 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 glug gear.
Jesus has a lot of G's. That's
1, 2, 3,
G's
4.
in that name.
5 G's in one word.
5G.
5G?
Illuminati confirmed.
Oh, well, it actually kind of makes sense, though, because this 5G is also known as the window peeper.
Dun, dun, dun. Look, y'all, we ain't even saying, but we're just saying, okay? This is a happy accident, but at the same time, you heard it here first on the Cult of Conspiracy. You know, just saying.
The 10th Yule lad to descend from over the festive season was perhaps the creepiest of all. Glug, glug, glug gear or window peeper. Considering the darkness of Iceland's winters, where there are only 4 hours of sunlight a day around Christmas, it takes a little imagination to picture the fear children must have felt passing the windows of their homes on Christmas nights, terrified that this fearsome troll was looking in upon them. Like several other characters mentioned above, it seems that the window peeper's chilling behavior was designed as a way to scare children from going outside in the dark winters. It was also a reminder that the child-eating grilla had eyes across the country looking out for miscreants.
Okay, so real quick, go back to that picture of that dude in the window with the kid. That's pedophilic as shit. That's creepy.
See the fingers? He's like, you're this small.
The kid's got the Home Alone face going on. Like, come on, man. And then the next one down is weird as fuck as well.
Actually, doesn't he kind of have the same face from the original Freddy Krueger almost? Kind of looks like him.
I could definitely see it. He's going to stalk you in your dreams.
Not been torched and got old. Look at that.
Yeah, super sketch. But anyway, if the window peeper didn't get you, then maybe the doorway sniffer did.
Yeah. The fucking what, dude?
Aren't you glad that we dived into these?
I really am. We got dudes that are trying to take all different types of your meat. We got this one guy who says, oh, there's a crumb in this pan. I'm taking the whole fucking pot. We got this other dude peeping on you at night. And then we got this guy who's just sniffing past your door. What the fuck?
So Gadathifer, or the doorway sniffer, may have come into folklore due to the whistling breaths of the wind creeping through Iceland's draughty turf houses. Similar to the window peeper and door slammer, the idea of him creeping into a home to cause mayhem haunted the nightmares of Iceland's children. This was exacerbated by the fact that Gatathifor was renowned for his enormous nose, massive even for his kind. The reason for his sniffing was also nefarious. He was forever seeking out his favorite meal, the Icelandic delicacy of lofabröd, or leaf bread. This delicious treat, okay, we don't need to read that. Anyway, so you got the doorway sniffer.
And so he takes your food if he smells the stuff he loves. Gotcha.
And then you got Ket Croker. also known as the meat hook.
You notice how they didn't
Another
add?
meat thief,
Don't you like how they didn't add the ER on the end of this one?
right?
The hooker.
Oh, my
Everything's the
God.
doorway sniffer, the meat snatcher. This one's just the meat hook because they can't call him the meat hooker.
Christmas culinary traditions vary significantly between families, but there is one common central feature to most festive feasts, and that's the meat. In Icelandic folklore, however, this was the target of thievery from the 12th and penultimate Yule lad Ketkrokur, or meat hook, lurking wherever he had access to a kitchen, either behind doors, under tables and cupboards, outside open windows. He would lay in wait for the meat of any dish to be slapped onto the counter. As soon as he could avoid capture, he'd pull out his long hook and snag himself the centerpiece of a family meal. Unlike his brother, Bajugrakir, he only sought smoked sausages. Ketkrokur was indiscriminate in his taste and would wait until the whole family fell asleep before swooping in and stealing whatever meat was hanging around.
Okay.
Hide your
Another meat
meats.
thief.
And finally, you have Kurt Asnicker. Kurt Asnicker. Oh, that sounds kind of bad.
That's the key.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's K's in there. I just wanted to clarify that for the
Yep.
people who are listening.
There are no
Hard
G's
K.
in this name. There's not 5. There is 0 G's in this name.
No G's. No G's. But he's the candle stealer. And the final Yule lad, well, I'm just not even going to attempt that name again. It's the candle stealer, or the candle beggar. He emerges on Christmas Eve in Iceland. Like his 12 brothers, his name is self-explanatory, although the consequences of his hijinks were more troublesome than they appear. In the past, candles were incredibly valuable in Iceland, providing light throughout the winter darkness. As noted, this lasts about 20 hours a day over Christmas. Candles were also the only available tool for Icelanders to enjoy their historically favorite pastime of reading, and over Christmas in Iceland, everyone getting together to read is an old tradition. So this, okay, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. What we got for the Yule lads.
I didn't know that about them, not gonna lie. Just kind of thought they were Gryla's, whatever's sons, and like that was just kind of their whole character arc. Didn't know they all had individual little storylines. That was cool.
The Yule lads are almost more interesting than the actual mom, just because of like the craziness of like what each individual one comes after. And then again, the Yule cat with the, you better not have any old clothes, otherwise I'm going to come after you.
I mean, it's crazy. They're going after the. It's not even about making kids behave. Finish all your food, keep your shit clean, and keep your house in order. Don't have windows open and doors open and shit. And wear clean clothes, and make sure you mind your candles. And like that's like, huh.
I mean, look, it's a good way to keep your kids in line, I would say. I like it.
Helps you from getting stir crazy too. Instead of continuously yelling at your kids the same thing, again, you just scare them. You say, oh yeah, if you don't do this thing, then this thing's going to come for you. Instead of sitting there fighting with them like, put your damn coat on, put your damn coat on, put your coat on, put your coat on.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna get taken by the cat.
You're going to get taken by the cat.
It's like the 13 Christmas boogeyman, bro. You know, like do what you're supposed to do, or one of them will be peeping through your window. One of them will be sniffing your fucking door. Somebody will be underneath your bed, and you just never know what's going to happen.
Trying to lick your bowl. And all that.
He's going to lick your bowl. He's going to lick your sausage, and they're going to sniff your doorways, man.
And his other brother's gonna be peeping at you through the window the whole time.
While all that's happening,
I love it. Well,
I just imagine one lonely guy in a shack by himself going, Yule lads, come snatch my sausage.
Oh my god. He's just like left all of the stuff out. He's just like hoping they come and fuck with him, and they're just like, yeah, nah, Bjorn, we ain't coming to your shack.
We're not coming to your weird shack.
you keep your goddamn spoon to yourself. All right.
You lick your own goddamn spoon.
Because he doesn't even have a homie to come in and bring him the urine. You know what I mean? Like, he's over here just trying to have his whole fetish holiday. He's trying to get a little piss play action. And his homie's not even coming because he's that weird. Nobody's fucking with him.
Yeah, dude. Well, look, we are posting this. Damn, I can't speak right now. We are posting this episode on Christmas Eve, so Yeah, so hopefully everybody will be able to listen to this, maybe tell some of these old tales and stories to whoever is at your dinner table, and just let everybody know. It hasn't always been Christmas. It hasn't always been jolly. There hasn't always been milk and cookies set outside by the chimney or wherever you keep the milk and cookies at. Sometimes you got sausage stealers, basically. And in the weird tales that have come across time, I love looking like at the etymology and historically how all these stories really came together. And this was a fun episode. Thank you, Shayn.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could at least bring some new stuff onto your guys' show, because when I first came in, we were going to talk about Christmas conspiracies. I didn't know which direction to go with it, man. So, hey, I mean, I feel like we all kind of learned some new folklore today. So at the end of the day, man, that's always nice.
We have to get weird over here.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned, guys. This is our last break. But if you guys enjoy the show and think I deserve it, please leave a review or rating for the show on iTunes or Spotify. Your continued support is what makes this show possible, and your opinions go a long way to help the show grow and improve. So thank you. Now back with that deep conversation you crave. And starting to conclude everything up, you guys obviously know where I am. You guys can find all my information down in the show description and everything. But, of course, got to make sure that we give some love and recognition to the boys over there at Cult of Conspiracy. So, guys, why don't you let them know where they can find you guys at, where they can find the show, and every other way that they can promote the hell out of both of these shows.
We are the Cult of Conspiracy podcast, and you can find us on any of the podcast platforms out there, whether it's Spotify or Apple or however you listen to it. We are on all the podcast platforms, and we are also at patreon.com/Cult of Conspiracy podcast and rockfin.com/Cult of Conspiracy for completely commercial free and video access. And you'll be able to get the shows a couple of days in advance. And if you sign up for the Third Eye All the Way Open tier on Patreon, you will have access to be able to join us every Tuesday night whenever we go live with all of our good Cult members. Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central. We go live for like 3 hours, dude. It is a crazy smorgasbord of conspiracies. It's never one topic. It's all over the damn place, but it's so much fun. And the good Cult members have made it a very loving tradition. We look forward to it every single time. But other than that, you can check us out on social media at on Twitter and Instagram. Those are probably the two biggest places that we are, just under the Cult of Conspiracy podcast. So yeah, come give us a follow and like our shit.
And, I mean, we were talking about in the beginning of the show, I'm just like you guys that I always forget to do these Christmas episodes. So I'm glad that everything fell into a good place and we're all able to do this Christmas episode together because, man, it was a lot of fun. I didn't expect any of the stuff we're going to end up getting into. And, of course, the side banter and everything, man. It was a lot of fun doing this with you guys. And maybe we can do it every year. Maybe we can do it every couple of years if you guys want to mix it up. But, I mean, we should start a tradition, man.
Dude,
I'm down.
Yeah, Christmas tradition will now be the Inquiries of Our Reality and the Cult of Conspiracy Christmas episode. Let's do it.
We just got to bring the extra homie into the mix. We got to bring over Tom from Strange Brew because that's both of our mutual friend on this one. So we definitely got to give some love to Tom on this one and let him get involved with the Christmas stuff too.
Got to bring the reptilian into the conversation.
Oh, and you know that he would go into a whole thing about cryptids and shit with this time of year too. That would be legit.
Hell
Dude,
yeah.
You put Tom and I together, man, and it's just going to open up a whole smorgasbord of some weird shit because him and I get into some rants together, man. So we'll have to try that out at some point, man. Even if it's not a Christmas episode, but a standard episode, we got to do a trifecta of, the holy trinity of podcasts, man, and bring in Cult of Conspiracy, Strange Brew, Inquiries of Our Reality, and just do a killer fucking episode, man.
We have to, yes. The wild Canadian that's just... I love that guy. Yes, that would be such a fun episode, dude. No doubt.
If you enjoyed today's episode and want to show some love for the show, don't forget to smash that follow icon, or you guys can even share this episode or the whole show with a friend through word of mouth. Of course, an awesome way to help the show grow through grassroots. And if anyone would like to get in touch with me for any reason whatsoever, you guys can do so through the email, which is increaseofallrealitypodcast@outlook.com, or through social media. Instagram and Facebook are the ones that I'm the most active on. Or you guys can also get a hold of me through the submission form, which is available on the link tree, of course. Or you guys can even call into the hotline, text the hotline if you guys want to, leave a voicemail, whatever you guys want to do. And that number is 313-364-1551. And if you guys have some free time, don't forget to check out some of the awesome friends of the show. I Know SQUATCH, Snarly Out Natural Products, Cryptotheology, and Big Ape Threads. And our other friends with affiliate links, Dimension Devices, Oregon-ite, and Sticker Mule, with additional discounts and credits available. And more info on that, of course, is available down in the show description. And every single thing that I mentioned throughout the show today is all available on the link tree, which is available down in that show description also. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I hope today's show has connected some dots in your own reality.
and I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. Have a good night, everybody.